Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello, and welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Yay, indeed, Jimmy. Yay, indeed. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmy Wissman.
Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. We're excited today. We have I love these episodes, first of all. It's an old-timey episode.
Hell yeah.
I love an old-timey episode. Anytime we get into, I'll call them the black and white crimes, anything that's pre, the 70s, when everything's in color, when all the pictures are in black and white, oh man, are we in for... It's just another world, so it's so much fun. And we're going to deal with a sport that we don't deal with very often on the show. Even that's just because there's not a lot of criminals, and that's hockey. Mm-hmm. So the whole thing is a lot of fun. By the way, next week, I'll say it, so I'll actually do it. Next week is going to be Mike Tyson Part 1.
Fantastic.
So that's going to be a two-parter. We can't possibly cram that life into
How do you parse
one episode
between Part 1 and Part 2?
It ends at Buster Douglas.
Okay.
Part 1 ends at Buster Douglas, and then we go to Part 2, or right around the Buster Douglas era, and then before the other thing that happened, as we know of. It's find out next week on Crime and Sports. So anyway, thank you. Everyone get very excited for that, because that's you're going to hear me, first of all, gush about Mike Tyson, because I think he's the greatest. You can't, okay, I don't know, save it for next week, but you can't put boxers into a lifetime category. You just can't, because, I mean, honestly, a guy who had not a less than spectacular career could have longevity, and you know what I mean, and end up having his record be the same as Muhammad Ali's, which is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like you have to take like a 3-year period take every boxer's best 3-year period, their prime, and say that's the best, and that's the time you say, could anybody else's 3-year period beat that guy's 3-year period? And not in statistics, in actual boxing. And I think that Tyson from 86, 87, 88, I don't think there's anyone in history that could have beat him in those 3 years. I just don't.
Okay.
It's impossible.
If you put like somebody else in their prime at that point.
Yeah, I don't think Ali in his prime could have beat. I really don't. I don't think he could have. I think
I don't think Tyson would hit his face. But then again,
think that's all he would
Tyson's had knockout blows in the body, so who the fuck knows?
That's what I mean. You don't rope-a-dope with Mike Tyson.
No.
You just couldn't. He would kill you. He would break your arms. Like, you couldn't do it. That wouldn't work like it did with Foreman. Hit hard, but nobody has ever hit like Tyson, as we'll talk about, and we'll get into it. But this week, wild episode. First of all, thank you for everything you do for us, obviously. If you haven't yet, please give a review on whatever platform you're listening on. Whatever amount of stars correspond to good, do that, and we'll be very excited for it. So thank you very much for doing that if you haven't. Patreon, my goodness, you need Patreon. Patreon.com/crime and sports. The episodes we put up this weekend are unbelievable, and you need them.
They're so much fun.
Anybody over the $5 level, of course, gets access to both shows' Patreon, the whole back catalog and everything. So this week, first of all, for the Crime and Sports episode, we did an episode about the master imposter, a guy named Barry Bremen, who unbelievably, I mean, he's been everywhere. He got on the court at an NBA All-Star game as a player. Yeah. He got on, on the field at the MLB All-Star game. He did he disguised himself as an umpire at the World Series. He accepted the Best Supporting Actress Emmy Award. We'll put it that way. You need to hear about this guy's life. It's absolutely insane.
I'm going to visit his grave.
That's how crazy that you have to hear about it.
He's terrific.
So he's terrific. And then Small Town Murders, which you'll have access to also, is the Iceman, Richard Kuklinski. Mm-hmm. We talk all about the origins of the Iceman and how the Iceman became the Iceman in terms of his childhood and upbringing and in some really excruciating detail, because it was a rough one, man. That was brutal. So that's patreon.com/crime and sports. And we are so thankful for your participation that you get a shout out at the end of the show as well. Jimmy will mispronounce your name while trying his best to pronounce it properly.
Oh, that's so hard. Yeah.
And PayPal also, you can do that. You can get a shout out on PayPal. That is on PayPal. crimeandsports@gmail.com is the email address you use for that. And also, shutupandgivememurder.com to get everything you can want, merch and all that stuff. That said, let's do it. Let's get into this.
Also, thank you, everybody that patronized the live show last week.
Yes, I forgot about that. It was amazing. Yeah. The live show was absolutely unbelievable. I think it was our best one yet.
I did, too.
And that's the feedback we got, too. It was so much fun, and it was a great time. So thank you for everyone who got in on that, and we appreciate your feedback, because it was fun, and we're gonna do more of those. Whether the road happens normally or not, we're gonna do some more of those, because those are fun, and they seem to be fun for the listeners, and we have a good time with it. So
and
what
even
the hell?
The people that are unable to get to live shows, we at least give them a valid substitute.
That's the other thing too. We had a lot of overseas participation: Australia, UK, Canada. Thank you guys very much, everybody that did that. So if they can't, obviously, it's a little harder to make it from Australia to a live show.
Yeah.
Let's get into this though today.
Okay.
Because we have quite the episode. Black and White Days. Talk about Joseph Antonio Demers.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's not Italian. Joseph Antonio. I'm like, Joey Antony, and he's not Italian? What are you kidding me? But he's not. He's a French guy. Okay. His nickname, Tony Demers, is what he's known as. Yeah. And Tony, he goes by the middle name. His nicknames are either Torpedo Tony.
Oh.
He's known as like the hardest slap shot in hockey up until the time he was around, basically.
Is that right?
Yeah, he was like a ridiculously hard slap shot and a very, very good scorer, but a complete fucking disaster of a human being. An absolute a drunk and just a louse and a liar.
Yes.
I had to use louse because that's a good like 40s word.
Yeah.
He's just a disaster as a human being, as a person. And or they called him Little Hercules.
So he's tough. Is what you're saying.
He's a hockey player, yeah. He's a goddamn hockey player that played in the 30s and 40s. They didn't even have helmets back then. Those guys, they didn't require helmets till like 1989, I want to say, or 91 or some shit.
That's fucking insane.
That's crazy. And then the guys who were in the league before the rule was passed were grandfathered in. So you'd see guys in the late 90s still with no goddamn helmet on, skating around playing hockey. Nothing. Nothing. No shield, no helmet, just skating around. Back then, the goalies didn't wear helmets, Jimmy.
With your whole livelihood just sitting out there. The goalie?
Yeah. The goalie didn't have a helmet on back then. Frozen puck, just standing there. I think they had a face mask, but it was very minimal. I mean, you get hit in the head with a puck 10 times a game.
Wow.
That's the level of concussion we're fucking dealing with here. It's this is rugged.
Fuck concussions, James. That's a fractured skull. You will die.
Yeah, imagine how tough you had to be to survive as an NHL goalie for 15 years. That's insane.
Yeah, or dumb. I don't know which is worse. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just to survive, you'd have to be incredibly tough just to not get killed. But on top of that, fuck, stupid to want to do it. And so Little Hercules, because... And his height is somewhat of a thing that's always in discrepancy. Right. He's like Charles Manson when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And this, I'm going to touch home a little bit here, Jimmy, so you should maybe cover your ears and do a la 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 here, because this applies to you as well. But
right.
His height is listed everywhere from 5'7" to 5'10".
Okay, so he's 5.
So I was going to say, so it's 5'7".
Yeah.
When a man's height is described, any discrepancy, it's the shortest one.
Yeah.
By far. So he's 5'7", but he's maybe on skates he's 5'10". I don't know.
I'll bet he is. Yeah.
5'9" on skates. I don't know. But it goes up to 5'10" when they're trying to make him sound good. So it's like in court he's 5'10" when he's imposing, but then other times he's 5'7". So he's born July 22nd, 1917.
Oh my.
Yeah. This is like, wow. Serious some serious. I mean, just the end of World War I, for Christ's sake. He was born.
An elderly man.
Yes, older than all of our grandparents and everything. Like, that's old, man. That's really old. Holy
really is.
shit! There's still like a good amount of horses on the street when this is happening.
He could be my grandfather's dad.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is old, man. So, and we can say that because normally we don't want to insult any of our listeners if they're older, but I don't think we have any of them that are 104. So if we do, no insult, hats off, salute you. Yeah. And if we have any listeners over 100, if anybody puts the phone up to their grandmother's ear or something, first of all, hello. Yeah. So, hi. Yeah. Hello. Thank you for listening. Number one.
You've
Number
done your
two,
job. You have permission to rest.
That is awesome. And if you have anyone over 100 listening, we will send them something. So tell us about it. At Crime and Sports, tell us about it, and we'll definitely do that. So he's born in Chambly, Quebec, Canada.
Oh.
Which sounds
in Quebec, yeah.
It sounds wonderful. And it's weird because we had the small town murder where the victim was from Canada last week, and we're having all these weird Eastern Canadian ties to this shit now. This week, I don't know what's happening. So that was the live show. Sorry, that wasn't the show last week. If you missed it, sorry about that. You don't know what we're talking about. So it's a suburb of Montreal. Okay. This is is Montreal an island? I didn't know that.
Montreal is just right there on the border. It's so close to New York.
They call it an off-island suburb. Maybe it's away from it some. Maybe it's not an island, but they mean the area. I don't know I don't know anything about
county
Montreal.
Island? I don't know.
I don't know anything about Montreal. I really don't. But yeah, it was. It's changed its name a bunch of times back and forth. It was right now there's about 30,000 people there, but when Tony was born in 1917, this was a really, really small place. This was not a big place at all. I mean, I'm sure hockey was very prominent, though.
I don't think there's ever been a time that hockey wasn't prominent in Canada.
No. And the Montreal Canadiens have always been really big. And at this point, as we'll talk about, the NHL only has 8 teams when he starts, and 2 of them are in Montreal. So it is serious hockey time here, man.
That's
not fucking around. Yeah, they're not messing around. So his childhood, I don't know much about it because it's not very documented, and it was so long ago, as a matter of fact, and I could easily have made up something very ridiculous, but I feel like it would be too obvious on this one. Just with the old timiness, I could have made up. I think about my options here. Every other one I make up is
Canada, you'd have to research to make up a fake story.
Not even. I could just make some, but I mean, I could have made that. I could have just made up shit about the time period. It would have been amazing. Yeah. If they didn't have this, so they had to do this. It was normally I'm working with the 70s. I got to be real creative, but with this, I mean, they could have not had any kind of electricity. They could have not had plumbing. He could have had to do. Think about the possibilities, Jimmy.
Could have built amazing. The Titanic there. Who knows?
I mean, oh my God! I'm just thinking about talking about it. The things he had to do to go to the bathroom as a child. He had to go into the woods. I'd be upset that I already used the grizzly bear lie on the other hockey players. I'd be like, shit.
Polar bear, any bear.
Him encountering a bear and beating it to death with a newspaper under his arm as he goes to take a shit would have been wonderful, but we couldn't do that. So. Animal attacks would have been out, but there's been a lot I could have made up, I feel like, with this. A special relationship with the family horse. Not sexual, but it was his friend.
I would have certainly gone there.
I was going to say, eventually it would have turned sexual. You know that. I would have gotten
we got bestiality and crime and sports.
It would have been that's his first crime. Is he had a long-term sexual relationship with a male horse. Not that the gender matters, but it's just specific. We like to give a lot of info here. Well, that would mean that he really was he saw that cock one too many times and finally said, "I got to have it. I just got to have it. I have to
see how much I can get.
I got to see what I can do here." So he grows up playing hockey, that we do know, and being a very good local player. In Canada back then and even now, there's about 700,000 hockey leagues.
Yeah.
It's, the hockey leagues are everywhere. And when you look through the newspapers back then for hockey stuff, it's just page after page of hockey results of this league and that league and this league. You're like, holy shit, it's wild, man.
Everybody's getting ice time, James.
It's all they care about. It's like college basketball in North Carolina or some shit. It's the craziest thing. They're really into it, which I get it. I mean, that's their national obsession, so I understand. And but it hasn't waned at all Like back then, they used to, in the United States, they'd speak of like baseball with this fervor, and that's like not anymore.
No.
Now it's football because it's more gambleable.
But Canada, that is their national pastime, and they are not letting it go.
No, they love it. So in 1935, let's catch up with Tony. Okay. He is 18 years old at that point. So he's endured the hardships of a early 20th century rural Canadian upbringing. Really could just...
Hitler's rising.
Just give him basically, what's his name? Brian Spinner Spencer's backstory. Just give him that. That's the same thing probably. So he ends up playing for the Montreal La Fontaine. I don't know what the hell that is. It's It's the Montreal Junior Hockey League, and he only plays in one game there in 35-36. I don't know if they tried him out the last game of the season, or if he didn't make the cut, or I don't know what the deal is here.
Or he played one game and he got stolen away because he was so good.
Maybe, but he doesn't play again until he's 20, which is weird. I don't know if maybe he played in some off league that they didn't keep track of or what, but he played one game and had one goal, so that seems impressive. I mean, if you got a kid and he's 18, he comes in his first game and scores a goal, I think you want him to hang around probably, I would imagine. The other thing about Tony, though, the problem is that you can't put logic into it as far as, one game, maybe he was stolen away. That would be logical. But he could have just gotten shit-faced and not showed up for a month, because that's another thing he does. He's extremely unpredictable, not reliable, very talented. I mean, the talent, this guy will fuck up and they'll keep bringing him back because his talent level is unbelievable. And if you have a guy that can score the way he scores, and like to the point of, defenses take notice of him and he's a problem for them, you're going to keep finding a place for that guy. And they do. The silver comes out big time. In hockey in Canada, the silver-haired middle-aged white men are like rampant because they're so, into it, as we've talked about with hockey before.
And that's Tony's thing, is booze. He loves booze.
Oh, he's a big boozer. He's a swinger, Tony. He's a swinging good time. He likes to booze and drive his big old giant cars around and do damage with those and
I feel you, buddy.
hurt people. And, he's got problems. So 1937, 1938. So I don't know what happened to 36, 37 that season. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where that disappeared to. He could have slept through it. I'm not sure what happened, honestly. Anything's possible with this fucking guy.
26, yeah.
He's like, what? Oh, Jesus. What team am I on again?
Hell yeah.
How'd everybody get in my room? And he's like in full uniform. Skates on the ice, holding the stick.
It's the locker room, sir.
Shit. Oh, damn. Oh, I'm on the ice now. Okay. These people they paid to get in. Jesus, I was confused. I was wondering why they all had hot dogs and shit. And I was like, what's going on? There's poutine everywhere. Sorry. I gave him a southern accent, even though he's from Montreal.
Solid. I like it.
It's why not? You know what I mean?
They have hicks up there.
They do. I don't think they sound like that in rural Montreal, but
no.
But you get it. Yeah. It's the Panhandle accent. You understand it. So 37-38, he plays for the New Haven Eagles. I believe that's in Connecticut. It's the IAHL hockey league here, international, whatever. He plays in 5 games for them that year, and no goals, no assists, no anything like that. So the reason, though, that there is no goals or assists or anything is because he ends up on the Montreal Canadiens after only 5 games. Huh? Yeah, he gets signed to the Canadiens. Apparently, that's where he was. I'm sorry. He played for Montreal when he was 18. Then the 36-37 season, he went to France and played in a Parisian hockey league in France, which sounds made up, but it's not. It sounds like I was going to tell you all about his summer in France and he was wandering around eating baguettes and wearing berets, but no, that's not where I'm going.
Slinging dick and picking up French chicks.
Slinging dick and being afraid of Hitler. That's what was going on in 36-37.
Has a white flag in his back pocket just in case.
Here is my penis. Have you heard about the Hitler? We are very, very scared. Oh, no, not the Hitler. Very, very scared of that. So he played there, and I don't know what the fuck he's doing here. He ends up back in France at one point. I know because he ends up on the Canadians in 37, okay? 37-38, which and people are very excited about him. One of his teammates said, this Tony over here, he said, can be a good hockey player. He is really the strongest guy I ever see, and those wrists of his, they are terrific. He has some shot, I tell you that. The trouble with this Tony, he tries to use that shot so much, he's forgetting how to play hockey. He's got a rocket slap shot, and that's all he wants to do is just hit these crazy shots, and everyone's like, hey.
Get some fucking fires.
Yeah, this guy goes on to say, all this guy thinks about when he gets the puck is to shoot. This is okay for the amateurs, and he will score plenty like that, but in the NHL, the goalers, they will brush aside those shots like mosquitoes. Someday, Tony will get wise, and then watch that guy go. He is just ready to fucking do it. They said he was, they really liked, they put him on a line that they liked, and they said he's going to be a badass, basically. Yeah. So 37-38, he plays in 6 games. That's all I know. No other stats here. The team itself goes 18, 17, and 13, which sounds like a very boring year to watch.
That is so many ties.
It's 13 ties.
Oh, my God.
It's a lot of ties, and that would happen very often. But 18, 17, and 13 is just... You have a pretty much equal chance of anything happening when you go there. So I guess it's unpredictable. I looked up their roster, and I'm just fascinated that there are people on this roster that he plays with this year that are born in 1901. 01. Nobody in the 1800s, which I was disappointed about, but 1901 he's playing with people that here. And there's a guy named Toe on this team.
Really?
Toe, Toe Blake.
Second guy ever.
Yeah, that I know. At least that was a nickname. I don't know if this is a nickname. Wilf. There's a guy named Wilf.
WILF.
Yeah, like a wolf I'd like to fuck.
Yeah.
A Wilf.
Like a worm.
Yeah, anything. It goes however you want. A man named Polly on the team. Polly drew in. I'm just looking for funny
Polly,
old timey.
Polly or PAUL?
POLLY.
No.
Like Dolly's friend Polly.
Can't do that.
It's very funny, all these people. But anyway, 1901 here. There's people on his team, which fucking trips me out, man. That's just wild. So he, after like 6 games, they shit can him and they send him down to the minors. And when he's sent down to the minors, he breaks his leg immediately. Oh, no. Really? So that was a problem. So he was out all of that season and the next year, and basically that was that. Everybody thought he was done. He went up to the Canadians. They didn't like him. They shipped his ass back down, and that was it. And there's so little teams, but there's 8 teams, so it's not like there's no room. If you go up and they don't like you, that's it. You're done pretty much. They'll get the next guy, and you're out. So,
and that story's complete. There are tons of careers that end like that.
Yeah, and then he's sitting in a bar, 10 years from then going, I played for the Canadians for 5 games, and people are impressed with that. You know what I mean? But that's what it was.
If I broke my leg, I'd be back.
Yeah, I broke my leg. They would have brought me back, they said. They were going to bring me down for a little bit, but then I broke my damn leg, and it was all over for me. So instead, though, They end up, he's back in the minors, and he tries to work his way back up after this. So most guys, they said, they just quit after that. That was it. They'd be done. But he actually tries to work his way back up. And I have to give you the list of the 8 teams in the league, by the way.
I can't wait.
There's only 8, like I said, so I think most everybody makes the playoffs. Otherwise, it's not a playoff, really. It's just another series. We have in the Canadian division, there's the Canadian and the American division. 4 each. That's all. You got the Maple Leafs, Toronto Maple Leafs, the New York Americans, who obviously don't exist anymore, the Montreal Canadiens, who still exist, the Montreal Maroons, who definitely don't exist anymore.
That is hilarious.
There's a lot of teams named the Maroons back then.
Really?
I believe there was an NFL team in the 20s named the Maroons, as a matter of fact, too. Yeah.
I think it's hilarious because I watched Warner Brothers and Bugs Bunny, and everybody that was an idiot was a maroon. Yeah.
A maroon, yeah.
What a maroon.
What a maroon. I love Bugs Bunny.
So they just named themselves the Idiots.
Yeah, the Idiots. The Montreal, I'm sure that's not what it means, but whatever. It's once Bugs Bunny co-ops it, it's over for you.
You've ruined it.
Who else is more popular culture in 1948 than fucking Bugs Bunny? You know? You're done, mister. You're done. Then the American division, you got the Boston Bruins, the New York Rangers, the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Detroit Red Wings, who all still exist.
Were one of the first teams.
Yeah, they're one of the old timies. Yeah, they're going to put a team in Boston back then. Boston's back in the day especially, was a very important city, and then obviously New York has two teams, for Christ's sake. I don't know how New York has a team in the Canadian division. That's what I don't get. I think they had 5 and 3, and they just had to even it out.
So they have the New York Americans and the New York Idiots?
The New York Rangers. Montreal has the Canadians and the Maroons.
Oh, they've got 2. Got it.
So out of the 8 teams, 4 of them come from 2 cities. So that's a thing. And by the way, if there's 5 American teams and 3 Canadian teams. So I don't know why, like, the Canadians are always saying how, and we love the Canadians, but they're always like, oh, the Americans are stealing it. There was always more American teams. What do you want? Like, I don't know. There's more people here, I think. That's why. Like 10 times as many, I think. So that's probably why there's more teams. There's just more people to watch them, even though you guys are way more supportive of it, obviously, and way more into it than we are. That's got to piss them off. Like, we have all these teams, and we're just like, I don't know. I'm not watching that. And
that
they're like,
sounds awful. No thanks.
Fuckers. Yeah, that's got to hurt, I would say, probably. Sorry, Canada. You know what? I'm on your side again. You should be mad at us. You're like, Nashville? You put a team in Nashville? They don't care about... Fuck you. Phoenix,
Dallas?
Really?
Dallas has a hockey team? Why?
You think they like hockey more in Phoenix than Winnipeg? For real? Probably not. So, anyway, he plays for a couple different teams that year. He plays from 38-39 when his leg starts to heal, 39-40, 41-42.
Yeah.
He's playing for the Lachine Rapides. I guess that means they're fast. I don't know. In French, I'm not sure. He scored in 29 games. He scores 24 goals and has 12 assists, though. So it's pretty fucking good, I think. Not bad at all. 36 points in 29 games. I'll take it. Sure. And then he plays for the Valleyfield Braves, and that is 35 games, 30 goals, 23 assists, which is fantastic. And he also plays for the Valleyfield V's. So Valleyfield has a lot of hockey teams. And
that's probably Quebec, right?
I guess. I mean, I'm sure it's Canada somewhere if they have that many goddamn hockey teams. So 1940, he makes it back to Montreal. Okay. Now, this is a big deal. Like in the newspaper, there's big articles. One of them says I'll just read right from this article, quote, Tony is the only player in the National Hockey League at present, and probably the only one in the professional game, to rejoin the amateur ranks after failing to make a go of it as a pro, and then to take another stab at the professional game and make good. They're saying he's the only guy to have done what he did, which is the most common thing in sports right now. Kind of burns out, comes back. How many baseball players do you hear about that?
The comeback story is beautiful. You love seeing it.
Number 1 draft pick, smoked crack so he couldn't pitch anymore, and then 8 years later he's starting all over again, and then he makes his major league comeback, and just a Josh Hamilton story essentially happens all the time. But
the one that Johnny Manziel can't wait for. He's still looking forward to it.
Yeah, he's like, it's coming. Don't worry. Yeah, not for quarterbacks. It doesn't work for quarterbacks. So, they're making a huge deal. The start of the article is, when you think of it, if you do think of it, the strange case of Tony Demers ranks with some of the greatest mysteries of our time. That's the intro to this. He's the only player in the league that has done this. This is how much of a huge deal it is that he's done this.
The greatest mystery.
The greatest mystery. It goes on to say, generally, when a young hockey player can't make good as a pro, he regains his amateur card and is through for all time with the big money game. Done. He's just going to be an amateur player forever. The player himself generally figures that way, and the men who handle the cash in the NHL think along the same lines. That's why Tony Demers' case is so unusual. Unable to show the stuff in his first try, Demers went back to the amateur ranks, kept plugging so hard that his efforts once again earned him attention from the pro scouts, signed with a big league club and is making good this time. That's...
Yeah.
So...
I still don't understand where the mystery is. I mean, you explained
nobody else,
how it happened.
Yeah. But apparently no one else has done that. Everyone else, if you don't make it, I get. Plus, I think, too, maybe in Canada they're more polite about it. Like, when they tell you you're cut, they're like, oh, okay, then. And they just go home like, oh, then they tell, I don't want to be rude and, like, hang around and try to.
They're so sweet. They're like, give it another go, eh? Yeah. And then nobody ever does. And
He's like, no, I don't want to take an opportunity from another guy, you know? It's just, no, I'm going to go home and.
These young fellas coming through here, huh?
Got some ice fishing to do up there, and it's going to be good, eh? I feel like that's the only reason for that, or it's just that's the way it was. Like, once they saw you, they didn't look at you again, the scouts maybe. Like, we already know that guy, fuck that guy, looking for new people. There's only 8 teams.
Seen him.
I'm not sure, but this time, different deal. His coach, Dick Irvin, he announced in December 1940 to the assembled press that Demers has what he called the hardest shot in the history of hockey.
Really?
Which is that's a pretty big compliment. Yeah. Apparently this is a very legendary coach too, who's been around a long time, and hardest shot in the history of hockey. And he praised him for not telegraphing its intended location when he released the puck. So that's important, to look like you're shooting one way.
Don't know where he's shooting.
Like a quarterback, you don't want to stare at your receiver the whole fucking time. You got to look left and throw right, not look as you're throwing, but whatever. But there are little things here. Oh, one of the things too, he puts him in the first scoring line. He puts him in. So they put him right out front. On that scoring line is Maurice Rocket Richard, who even I've heard of. Okay. So I don't know shit about hockey. Some things, but I know nothing about like 1930s, 40s hockey. And even I've heard of Rocket Richard. That's how famous that guy is. Yeah. So he's on a line with him. It's these two guys next to each other. And apparently it's a pretty badass line. They also make some comments in the paper, though, about, maybe his maybe his partying is the reason why he didn't make it the first time, because it's clearly not the talent. Yeah. Like, that's the mystery, is like, well, why is he so talented now? But where the fuck was that when they got rid of him? There's no way. There had to be something else to it, essentially. Like, they didn't get rid of him for his talent. They got rid of him because he's a fucking drunken idiot. And now they figured he grew up a little bit, maybe, because he was, 20 at the time, and now he's older. I don't know.
Real drunken maroon.
Mm-hmm. What a drunken. We're going to trade him to the Maroons. He's too drunk. So, I found an article here from November 25th, 1940, and it says the Canadians outplayed throughout the first 2 periods, staged a powerful attack in the third, which earned them 1 goal, which sounds like not a lot for the effort. This goal scored by Tony Demers on a solo play and kept the crowd of 8,500 on the edge of its seats. The Americans, seeking revenge for the 3-1 defeat Canadians gave them at Montreal Saturday night, 1 through 2 second. What the fuck? Oh, 2 second period. There's a dash there. I'm like, what is that? Yeah. The blah blah blah. The first went to Jack Peanuts O'Flaherty.
Oh, Peanuts.
Jack Peanuts. Hey, it's Peanuts O'Flaherty. That sounds like a joke. That sounds awesome. It's old Peanuts O'Flaherty. How's it going, everybody? He's got like a brogue, a terrible brogue. It's not even real, it's like a fake. I'm Peanuts O'Flaherty. How you doing? It's good to see everyone here.
Got a beard with him everywhere he goes.
Yeah, just, hi, Peanuts over here. He's just dressed like a leprechaun all the time. He's got like the high socks. He's dressed like fucking Payne Weber and a leprechaun mixed together.
Poor bastard.
Peanuts O'Flaherty.
How do you even get that nickname? I don't even understand.
I scored a goal today. I did. And he does a dance all over the place. I don't know what it is. I wish there was. I wish we knew more about him, because I'd love to make Peanuts O'Flaherty a character, but I don't know anything about him except they call him a, quote, scrappy right winger.
Okay.
So Peanuts O'Flaherty. That's amazing. Old Peanuts. He anyway, they said Demers got 1 goal back by racing wide around the right and cutting it in sharply to blast the puck past Earl Robertson. Several Canadian power plays then appeared to have the goalie at their mercy. Oh, there we go. Okay, so he did that. Good for him. They are saying that he's very impressive here. This season, Demers is boring in, fighting for the puck all the time, rifling his bullet shot from close range. They're loving him. Jesus Christ. This writer is really admirable here, or in admiration. Admiring. He uses his head too and employs a change of pace just to cross up the rival netminders, and he is getting goals. He sniped his 4th of the season on Saturday night to start Canadians rolling to their initial victory of the campaign. And last night in a losing game, Tony fired home his fifth tally to stay in the van. I don't know what that is. In the van as the number 1 goal getter to date.
So he's the best one. He's his highest scorer.
His penis is thick and veiny and protrudes from even through his padding. That's what it's going to be next, I feel like.
Fucking danglers. That's awesome.
Thick, veiny, and hard on command. He snaps his fingers and it jumps to attention. The improvement in Demers is chiefly due to increased self-confidence, as anyone with a penis that size would have. The self-confidence part's true, though, from what they say here, which in turn is due to encouragement from Irvin, who's the coach. Tony is in good shape, and he's keeping in shape, which is an important factor. Blah, 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 blah. Demers has all the earmarks of careful drilling and gave the indication of the birth of a crack of a scoring combination. Gee, there's just so much here to make fun of.
There's so much innuendo. It's ridiculous.
So much drilling, firing bullets. I mean, it's almost if the word facial's got to be in this article somewhere. I feel like, or like
he's got shot in there a lot
of shots and a defense beating, which sounds like some sort of.
It does, yeah.
It's some sort of thing there. Feeding. Lack was feeding Demers. There's that. Oh, he's feeding him. Oh, disgusting.
He's got miles of it.
Disgusting.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer. I can really show you how to make some money. And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
So 39-40 for the Canadians. He has 14 games played, 2 goals, 4 assists.
Okay.
Not bad. Good job here. So they put him into the line with, like I said, Rocket Richard and Elmer Lach, L-A-C-H. I have no idea.
That's Latch, right?
Lack. Who the fuck knows? And it's Canada, too, so
could be
God
Lash.
only knows. Apparently this became like a very formidable line, and there's articles about how all of the amateur goalies are all so happy that they won't be seeing Tony Demers back down in the minors anytime soon. and all this shit. It's pretty fucking funny. They're the aforementioned goaltenders aren't letting their enthusiasm make them too optimistic. However, a few years ago, they were having a recurrent heart attack every time Demers came roaring down the ice, all wound up and ready to let go. My God. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
He's just edging himself.
They make him sound like he's Ric Flair and fucking the plane ride from hell. You know what I mean? Helicopter in his cock as he's doing it too. Imagine that. He's skating down super fast, got the puck, he's moving it around, and he's helicoptering his cock at the same time, hypnotically. You're never going to be able to stop that puck. Where do you look?
Yeah. I'm so distracted.
I'm intimidated by his veiny fucking penis here, and then he's got his puck too. So, Jesus, roaring down the ice, all wound up and ready to let go. It seemed only a matter of time before that bullet shot would cause some poor netminder serious injury. My God, he really does have a bullet shot, I guess.
Who needs Playboy or any other nudie mag when you've got poetry like this about hockey?
If you're a hockey fan, you could kind of whack it to that probably in the 30s.
I've never been harder, James.
I know. I don't even like hockey, but I'm into it. I'm starting to fucking come around here.
The throb is intense.
I feel like in the 30s, there's no pornography available. No. It's very difficult. This is what you have.
Yeah.
That's why they're writing it like this. Your sensual hockey talk.
So repressed. This guy needs to come bad.
So he's done the unthinkable. He's come to the NHL, back down to nothing with a broken leg and fought his way back to the NHL. They're calling him, the unbelievable thing. They're calling him the comeback kid. They're praising his amazingly just fucking malleable and enormous cock because he can do things with it as well.
It's so talented.
So talented. People are afraid of his just earth-shattering jizz shots. So I feel like it's only safe to say grace at this point, right? I mean, what else is going on here?
He's got a net shredder, James.
A huge one.
Yeah.
He has to. Those holes in the net aren't as big as he needs, so it's how he intimidates the goalie. He comes behind the goal and sticks his cock through the net. They're like, oh, God, he's coming, or don't come around here. Very afraid of him. So 40-41, he plays in 46 games with the Canadiens. So really cements his place on the team. 13 goals and 10 assists. So fine season for him. 17 penalty minutes, which I assume he assaulted another helmetless man. And knocked most of his teeth out. I'm just going to guess.
Yeah.
So the team that year goes 16, 26, and 6.
Okay.
Not terrific. Right. They go to the playoffs with that, though.
Are you shitting me?
That's what I mean. The NHL now, too many teams make it to the playoffs, but back then there's only 8 teams. I think you have to have 6 for a playoff, right?
Maybe.
I mean, you have to. So I think only 2 teams didn't make it because they came in 6th in the NHL and made it to the playoffs. They definitely
had at least 6.
I mean, fuck. They lose to the Blackhawks, though, and there's that. So they're done. It's at this point now that people are starting, this fantastic line is starting to get torn apart here. And November of 1941, the beginning of the next season is when that happens. First, Jack Adams here, not Peanuts, O'Flaherty, a different Jack. He was called up to the Army because, World War II is starting.
Yeah,
so
it's getting rowdy out there.
It's getting rowdy, and Canada is an English, offshoot, an English colony, and England was in the war early because they kind of had no choice. They were kind of being bombs dropped on
day
them.
and night.
They didn't have the luxury of us going, we're going to have a wait and see attitude of this whole World War II thing that's going on over there. They didn't really have that luxury.
Fight with us. They were certainly being fought-picked.
Fought-picked, yes, they were being fought-picked. So Tony Demers, at this point, has another problem. He hurts himself in a car accident.
Oh?
Now, as we said, remember, he broke his leg earlier, and he again breaks his leg, this time way worse in a car accident. Apparently, Tony, his wife, his brother, and his sister-in-law, his brother's wife, were all in a car together when they ran into a tree.
Okay.
And this is no airbags, no safety, there's no seatbelts.
You absorbed the blow.
into the seatbelt with into the steering wheel with your chest.
Yeah.
Into the giant
or the
bus steering wheel.
Or the steel dash or the
or
back
the plate
of the
glass
steel
windshield.
fucking seat.
Yeah. Or the plate glass windshield that will slice your arteries open as you go through it. So it's no good option here for getting in an accident. It's just bad. The only thing you can hang your hat on is you're driving like a 12,000-pound steel vehicle that can cut through most things.
Yeah.
Apparently, large maple trees aren't something that it can bust through, though.
No, those are
pretty sturdy.
Yeah,
they're solid. That's the problem. So, according to this, they were all in the car. It was 12:20 in the morning, so just after midnight. Mm-hmm. They had visited some friends, and then they were on their way back home. And Tony's driving, so he's shit-face hammered. They've been partying at a friend's house for the last however many hours, and it's midnight. So he's hammered. He's driving along Montcalm Street, which it says here ends at Salaberry Park. So it comes to a T. You're driving down a road. You can't go straight. You can only go right or left. If you go straight, you drive directly into a park where there's a giant maple tree there. So it's pretty obvious there's no road there, from what I understand. And instead of turning, he just continued straight and ran up onto the curb, into the park, and directly into a large maple tree at a high rate of speed.
Damn.
Not smart whatsoever. No. So the fucked up part is he's the only one that's hurt really in the whole wreck. That's the crazy thing, too.
So
he
rare.
suffers a double fracture of the right leg near the ankle and above the knee. He breaks his leg in two places that far away from each other, above the ankle and above the knee.
Yeah.
So basically you could take his shin and just pull it out and throw it away.
Yeah.
It's broken.
He got three knees.
Yeah, he's a disaster right now. And everybody else, though, they were all scratched up, obviously, because we're talking plate glass and it's flying everywhere. Everyone's going to be cut and shit like that. They all go to Western Hospital, and he's severely injured. I'm trying to find the actual injuries for everybody else here. Oh, Christ, that's funny. A nearby person in a house called there, and they were like shocked. Like somebody somehow ran into that maple tree at the park. Like, I don't know how you do it with a car, but they did it.
Yeah, you got to do that on purpose.
Oh, shit. So apparently they got a doctor there, right leg fracture, two places, large bone being broken near the ankle and small bone higher up, but below the knee, two broken ribs and lacerations of the face and right hands.
My God.
Right hand. So he's in pain.
Yeah.
Leg broken all over the place, two broken ribs and cut up. You're hurting. No internal injuries, they said. They said, they didn't know if he'd be able to play again next year or ever again at this point, because they said his leg is pretty fucked up. His wife suffered cuts on the arm and face and got 15 stitches, but no broken bones or anything like that.
He hit it hard.
Oh, he was flying. Yeah, this wasn't a rolling stop. He went through the stops. He went through the intersection like there was no intersection and there was road on the other side. Like he was just cruising down the road. But the road ended and there's a fucking maple tree in your way. I don't know how drunk you have to be to not notice a park, but
like Clark Griswold asleep behind the wheel.
Essentially, just flying through shit, all coming down, landing, and then pulling into the hotel. Well, there we are. That's essentially what happened here.
Up and at 'em.
Up and at 'em. Let's go. I love roll 'em up.
Yeah.
Roll 'em up. So they're everybody's hurt too. The brother and brother-in-law have minor injuries and all this type of shit. They're upset because they've lost the other two people from their front line as well. So now they said their whole team is fucked essentially. Coach Dick Irvin said, "We thought we had our share of injuries to start with, but this really knocked us right off our feet. There's nothing we can do about it but dig in and try all the harder and hope to land some new players to plug the gaps." My God, plug the gaps? Can we please,
How
hockey
much
people?
How talk do they need?
It's all sexual innuendo. It's all like hardcore, like, latent homosexual, like that type of like old school, like we're going to plug the gaps and do like a, latent homosexuality's 50s style. That's what they would call it then.
Football today is not much different. I mean, football is pretty bad lately.
Yeah, football, it's all a bit. Sounds like some of the announcers, the color guys, would just be like, "Oh, that's a football play right there."
Yeah.
He ran for 12 yards, was tackled by the linebacker, where the linebacker then physically dominated him to the ground, and mounted him sexually. I like it. You have to intimidate the other team, and this is the way to do it. I feel like non-consensual sexual encounter is really the way to put the fear in the heart of the other team. It's the only way to do it. That's good football right there.
I like when they say things like spread them out and got him from behind, all that stuff.
Right up the middle.
I
crammed it in there.
Yeah.
It's tons of innuendo.
Spreading the gap. It's great.
He spreads the gap, and then he just plows right through there, as you can see. Just rips right into the defense, and you're like, oh.
It's every week, and Joe Buck seems to really love it.
He loves it. I just hate the color guys. That every meathead, if you flip around, like if you had all the games and you flipped around, every color guy's the same. He sounds like this. Yeah. He played offensive line for 2.5 years, and you've never heard of him. And, he's a Ron Wolfley, but he's and he says the word football about 7,000 times a game.
Yeah.
There'll be a play, and he goes, "That's a heck of a football play right there." No shit! What the fuck else are they doing? Well, let's
he
just
comes around
assume
and pulls a soccer move. We're gonna have a problem out here.
Yeah, if he dunks it over the fucking goalpost and it counts for 2 points, we're probably gonna have an issue at that point. So. Otherwise, can we just assume this goes for all of you? Because I know we have some like announcer types that listen. If you're a color person and you're calling a football game, we assume whatever you're talking about on the field wise has to do with football. So you don't have to say the word football. Yeah. That's a great play. He's a great player. Leave the word football out of it. We get it. He's wearing a fucking helmet with a fucking cardinal on the side. I assume he's playing football. So shut the fuck up, you son of a bitch and uncreative twats. I hate them.
Watch a football game.
To watch a football. This is a really good football game. All these football fans gathered in this amazing football stadium today to watch these wonderful football players play football. That was a heck of a football play to really entertain these football fans. You fucking meathead. Too many concussions. I'm sorry. I get you need a guy that knows the game or whatever. Yeah. Bring a fucking kicker in or somebody that hasn't been concussed 14,000 fucking times to call these goddamn fucking games. I'm so sick of it.
Maybe he's saying it, James, to remind himself where he's at and what he's watching.
That's true. What is it? It's a football game. That's right. They just have to like bring him in on a Hannibal Lecter fucking cart and just plant him there. And he's like, "I'm here to call the football game." They pump him up all week. They talk nicely to him like a horse. They're like, "You're going to call the football game. You're going to call all the football plays. The football players can't wait for you to get there." It's like, "I'm going to call football plays." I can't, dude. I literally will watch with the fucking sound off. I can't.
Oh my God,
to these meatheads.
I just watched a game on an airplane with no sound. Greatest experience of my life.
Fucking glorious, right?
It's unbelievable. We don't need these fucking people. Don't give me stats of who's doing what. I don't care. I'll watch this, and I don't need you.
It's all on the screen.
You are obsolete, my friend.
Nothing you say statistically or anything like that will not be shown in a graphic on the screen. I fucking guarantee you.
You're right.
It'll be a chyron at some point because everything's a graphic. So we don't need you.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it's the worst at this point.
And you know what? I'm going to be honest. It's easier to pay attention to the game without those fuckers yapping. It's very similar to like if you watch a game with somebody and they're talking and you're just like, hold on till the play.
Yeah, I'm trying to see this.
I've got Joe Buck and Troy Aikman saying enough fucking words. Shut your mouth.
Jesus.
And if everybody
they're the smartest
up,
of all of them. That's the fucking sad part.
Right.
Like it's at least fuck, man. I can't do it. I just can't do it anymore.
It's so used great. To be all alone,
have like
no volume.
That's
Try
beautiful.
It. You will love yourself.
Remember, like 80s, 90s, you'd have like Madden and Summerall, okay? And Summerall had the voice. He was a player though. He was a kicker for years, but he had the voice, and he had the like that boozy, good, perfect announcer voice. And then Madden would come in with, we're gonna do this and blah 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 blah. But there wasn't like anybody who was like, that's just a good football play there. You can see a tackle, he opens up the hole, and a running back just plows right through. It's a good football play. It's just good football. Fucking morons.
They got to be putting these football players in because it's like a nostalgia thing and it feels like a football player is telling you something that you don't know. Tony Romo, I liked watching him because he would say things about the game that I had no fucking idea that that's what that was.
That's what it used to be.
Right, but even still, just the other day watching it with zero sound, I was like, you know what, we don't need them. It's not.
No,
I don't care
anymore.
I don't care to
Not
know anymore.
Yep.
I can just watch this play unfold, and I'm happy.
You used to have broadcasting talent in addition to being an ex-player. That's how they used to do color guys. They want a color guy that's a player so they can give you inside thing.
Sure.
Oh, well, you'll see here, this is the play, and that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Sometimes you sit there and go, well, if it's all silent, you go, I wonder why you did that. But sometimes Tony Romo will tell you why you fucking did that.
And that's what they used to have. They used to have guys that would have personality and some kind of broad, like they had Monday Night Football back in the day. They had Don Meredith on there who had a lot of personality, and he was like, he had that accent, and he'd tell you, but he would actually diagram plays and knew how to do shit. And he was like the Tony Romo of his time, where he was like entertaining and also smarter than you think he is. You know what I'm saying? While he's doing the game. Like, but Pat Summerall, he's a player. As a kid, I never really realized he was a player because he had such a good voice and he was a good broadcaster.
Yeah.
Now they just get some fucking guy who retired from being a linebacker 3 years ago,
right?
And they just put him in there, stick a fucking suit on him that's too tight because he's all jacked up still from playing. He's not old enough to do this, and he's like, I'm going to get out there and play some football with these fucking guys. Who's got a football? I just was tailgating. I need football. Calm the fuck down. You need to take your testosterone level down like 8 notches before you get in that booth. Like, you need to really chill the fuck out.
The job for those guys is go wander around before the game and shoot the footage of that guy eating sausages with the people in the parking lot. That's all you need.
That's it.
I don't need anything else from that fucking guy.
And they go, yeah. And then he eats a sausage. Back to you in the fucking booth. People with broadcasting talent. And then they cut back to them.
Shotguns a beer with some fucking plumber, and we move on.
And then he fucking dies of a heart attack at 41 out in the goddamn parking lot with half a bratwurst in his hand in section fucking 341 at Lambeau Field. And
he's probably
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
And he's thrilled. That's how he wanted to go. Sorry, everybody. I needed to.
Point is, watch football with no sound because it's legitimately magical.
Jimmy has nailed that shit on the fucking head. So anyway, that is a problem, obviously. So he sits out like a whole year, essentially, from this. But comes back in November 1942, he's back. So he comes back for the next season, which is way ahead of schedule. He probably needs the money, too, and he's, he's doing what he can. But on November 4th, 1942, they're in camp, I guess, training, and apparently him and another guy, Paul Bibelow, had a couple of accidents. Demers... Jesus, this guy's he's just a disaster. Like, he tripped over a piece of wood. This doesn't happen at hockey practice.
No.
Like, what is this? Which was lying on the ice. So it's the ice. You can see it it's not like it's hiding somewhere.
Why is there wood out there?
I don't have any idea why there's wood on the ice, but I can't imagine how you could not avoid it as well.
Yeah,
like, don't fucking skate over the wood, idiot. It's ice. You can see everything on it.
Right.
What's happening? He tripped over it. It was lying on the ice, but recovered from his tumble. And I guess he hurt himself doing that. So they were all worried that his leg was fucked up again. They're like, oh my God, with this guy. He, I guess he plays in 9 games in the 42-43 season, has 2 goals and 5 assists, apparently here. So the reason why he doesn't get cut, though, December of 42, after only 9 games, he's very excited to be back and scored some goals and everything. He's got his broken leg all healed up, tripped over wood, didn't lose it. It's all good. Stayed in there, and then he gets called to the Army.
Oh, no.
Because it's December 1942, and shit's getting really... Shit's getting real over there. Not that it wasn't before, but I mean, it's really ramped up now. And
it's kicking off.
The U.S. is getting involved. It's a mess. So, not that we made it. It was involved before that, but it's full blown. And they're calling everybody up. So they call up Tony Demers and his fucked up leg and everything to the Army. Wow. Luckily for him, it's just to play hockey for the Canadian team, I believe. He plays for the Canadian Army hockey team.
Wow.
That's what he's doing during this, which a lot of the guys, that's what they did. It would help promote shit like that. They
How much do you love hockey, though, that you can represent your country in your service?
Yeah.
with hockey.
But I think they just play like the other armed forces. Like they don't go play the German hockey team, I don't think, or anything like that. That would be very interesting.
Counts as a battle loss.
Yeah, that would be wild. Like, sorry, we have to cede the Rhine River because we lost. They're good. I don't know what to tell you. Demers tripped over a piece of wood. That fucked up the whole game, and then we lost. We had to cede back half of France.
It'd be better if the battle at the Alamo was over football.
We had to give Northern Italy back to them. I don't know what happened. Back to the Axis.
Davy Crockett. Was it Davy? Was it David Crockett? It was, right? The guy with the coon hat. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yes, coonskin hat, Davy Crockett.
Yes,
yeah.
that's that guy had 83 yards at the Battle of the Alamo. I heard.
I heard so too. It was pretty good. He averaged 5.6 per carry, which was pretty impressive.
83 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was impressive.
That's not bad. He caught one or two, I believe, too. He's mainly a blocking back, too. That's what I mean. It was a surprise that day, but it's not bad. And he was the only guy with a raccoon hat on his head rather than a helmet, right. So that was also very impressive.
Well, their defense couldn't stop Santa Ana in his 33 touchdown day.
They couldn't. Oh, he dominated the day,
really
set a record for touchdowns, had 4,000 yards on that afternoon.
Yeah, on the day. It was incredible.
Many touchdowns, a lot of interceptions also. He plays both ways, obviously.
Yeah.
So they said he just returned to action after the injury, and they're like, he can't get out in front of anything. The funny part is I found in this article, because it's all like these articles, all small articles connected to each other. And I just love, as you know, as we've done bonus episodes, newspaper articles from back in the day are incredible.
They really are.
Our next crime and sports bonus, by the way, is going to be personal ads. So, that's for Patreon. That is our best one. And we're going to write ads for each other. That's what we're going to do. We're going to try to sell each other. Crisscross, everybody. At the end of it, that'll close out the episode.
I'm going to sell my Italian friend's crank. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to talk all about Jimmy and the wonders of his penis. You're going to really... I'm going to sound better than these guys. I'm going to make him sound more attractive than these writers made Tony Demers' hockey game sound. So I found an article right above it, connected right to it. It's Army calls Demers, and then right above it is Farmer bombed from underground.
Oh.
I'm like, how the fuck did that happen?
Yeah.
I get so distracted with these old articles. And here it is. From Chickasha, Oklahoma.
Oh, boy.
Is the date line, which right away I'm interested. Hoot Tucker is the guy's name we're talking about. Hoot.
Like
Hoot Tucker. Yeah, he's waiting for Peanut O'Flaherty to come home and help him out. Hoot Tucker thought the day of the aerial bombing had struck in Oklahoma. He was shucking corn and minding his own business in a farm near Tabler when there was a terrific blast nearby and a big hole was torn into the ground and flames spurted 20 feet high.
Oh,
Holy
my God.
Shit, this is fucking wild. Tucker's team ran away. He admitted he felt like doing the same thing, but he had to investigate and found a high-pressure natural gas line had burst. Holy shit. Sorry, that was just insane. That's a crazy story.
A natural gas line burst and then ignited.
And exploded the ground out above it, and a 20-foot flame shot out from it. So all the dirt, it probably shot 100 yards around it, and then a 20-foot high flame. From what I understand here, from what it sounds like, a continuous flame, like an eternal torch, just fucking from the ground.
Sounds like a freight train. It's incredible when that happens.
In Oklahoma in 1941, you're like, it's the devil, that's it, it's over. Revelations is coming true, and they said ground will burst and flames will come up like an eternal torch. I heard all about it. God damn it.
Or he's got to be screaming, Hitler's here!
Hitler's here, it's coming. Well, he said he thought it was a fucking air raid, and then he realized it was the other way. So I thought that was pretty funny.
I guess this is what it looked like.
Oh, shit, Jesus, coming from the ground, this is crazy. So on the Army team, he has 13 games. I don't know if that's a whole Army season or what. 3 goals and 1 assist. Seems like he should be able to dominate a little bit more against.
He's a professional player, unless all of them got drafted.
A lot of them did. Yeah. It's kind of like in baseball where. Yeah. The squad you could have put together from the World War II team is wild. DiMaggio, Ted Williams, all these guys. It's everybody from back then. Anybody able-bodied. Yeah, you could definitely put 2 Hall of Fame teams together from all the guys that served in World War II. It's incredible. So 1943, he makes a comeback. He's out of the Army. He's discharged from the Canadian Army, and the Canadians send him to the New York Rangers as part of to finish a trade. They had made a trade and they still owed a player to be named later on a guy named Phil Watson. So they threw in this guy fresh. They threw in Demers fresh out of the Army here.
Okay.
So they said he's not in hockey shape yet. So they sent him down to Providence to get into shape. And he plays there pretty well. And New York ends up bringing him back up to play against the Red Wings. And, he's ready to go. So he's signed with the Rangers, ready for his first game. He plays in his first game with the Rangers. Okay. So he's in a game with the Rangers. And he just disappears.
Okay.
Just fucking,
New York's
fights,
a big place, James.
Fights. I think it's a lot of partying. I think he found a lot of bars and he was just like, what am I doing playing hockey? This is ridiculous. I don't want to do this.
New York's a little different than Quebec. You can get lost pretty easy in that city.
He got lost, all right. He just disappeared. It's so strange to go to the Army, fight your way back. You have to want to get back into your profession and back into professional hockey after being injured, then being in the Army. He comes back. He's in the minors for 20 games or so. He builds his strength back up. He's all ready to go. He comes back one game and back in the NHL, and he's like, I got other shit to do.
Yeah.
I feel like I accomplished that goal. I'm done. So the Rangers have to suspend him because, I guess it doesn't really matter. He's not there. So You're suspending nothing. It's kind of that's like firing someone after they quit, I guess, at that point.
Right.
They're in the parking lot driving away. It's too late now. That's what happened here. He just failed to report for duty. They put it on. He played for one game and then was supposed to show up the next day for practice. Never showed up. Showed up for the next game. Just took the fuck off here. You're supposed to do that from the Army, not from your job.
Right. Because it's scary.
It's a weird fucking thing here. So, yeah, they suspend him indefinitely because, what are you going to suspend him? For 5 games. Well, if he's gone...
He suspended himself for 5 games.
Yeah. So if he's gone and if he comes back after 5 games, then it's okay again? As long as he comes back? I don't know what's happening here. So he does that. The Rangers, maybe it's because they sucked really bad.
Really?
They were 6-39-5 that year.
Jesus.
Which is abhorrent. That is terrible fucking, just a goddamn awful record. 6-39-5? Holy shit.
They tied almost as many times as they won. And they won a sixth of their games. 1 out of every 6 they'd win.
That is fucking crazy. They won 6 times and didn't win 44 times. That's a terrible season. Didn't win.
That's basically it.
That's it. That's a bad goddamn season. So there's an article on him around this time when he's back down in the minors because he ends up popping back up again the next year in 44-45 for the Lachine Rapids again. There's an article here. It's this weird tidbits from the sports world thing, and it's in one big article, and it's just 1 or 2 sentences about each thing followed by ellipses and then somebody else.
Yeah.
His little thing is Tony Demers has such an appetite that he takes 2 of every course on the menu, according to Cliff Butler, who's a restaurant owner at the time who frequents his restaurant.
2 of everything.
2 appetizers, 2 salads, 2 fucking entrees, 2 desserts. He just eats 2 of everything.
Jesus.
He's like a 5'8", 180-pound guy, and he's just eating like a monster, which is, I guess, to soak up all the booze, too.
Yeah, sometimes you got to put a little bit more bread down.
That's what it is. So he's playing for Lachine in 1945 when there's another problem here. He's arrested by city detectives, and it's for an incident on City Hall Avenue, during which a hotel owner has complained that, as the newspaper puts it, he was, quote, relieved of $328.
Oh, he got robbed in downtown.
I love the way they would put got robbed, relieved of this. Like, it was weighing him down. He couldn't fit it in his pockets anyway, so you were kind enough to take it off his hands, is what it sounds like.
Had to carry this all day, and I was tired.
You
needed to put it down.
Thank you. Please don't spend it all in one place, but thank you. It's just too much.
$370 in 1940.
$328.
$328.
That's a lot of money.
Jesus. That's a lot.
Oh, that's a lot of fucking money.
Why are you running around with that much scratch in your hand?
People made like $2,000 a year back then. Right. That was like a good salary.
Yeah.
So this is wild. He wasn't. Not only was he relieved of $328, the complainant was, quote, beaten with the jagged edges of a beer bottle.
Yeah.
A broken beer bottle.
That's called stabbed.
And left in an unconscious condition.
Left for dead.
They beat him over the head with a beer bottle, even after it was broken, and then left him for dead.
Robbed him and left him for dead. That's a little more. Jesus, they really cheeried that article up, didn't they?
Right, relieved him and left in an unconscious condition. That's a lot for beaten, stabbed, and left for dead is really what that is. So,
beaten, robbed, stabbed, and left for dead. You get that robbery is the fucking qualifier and also an aggravator that'll put you up for the death penalty.
If they kill this guy, yeah. So he's apparently it's a guy named Gerard Tremblay is the other guy accused of this. It's him and Tony are both accused of this. And the prosecutor asked the court, when Tremblay goes to court, to sentence him to at least 5 years in view of this Tremblay's bad reputation and the type of crime of the nature of the offense. Yeah. The judge, otherwise known as his lordship, declared that he would send this man to the penitentiary for, this is Tremblay, you, sir, may fuck off 10 years in the penitentiary.
Yeah.
For the beating and relieving someone of money of this nature. Apparently he's got quite the record behind him as well. Okay. They said, quote, conditions are such that citizens cannot walk on the streets at night without fearing an attack. The money was returned eventually to the owner as well. It was recovered.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
Covered. So, the judge, Armand Cloutier, declared that he had no sympathy for criminals who robbed and bludgeoned unsuspecting passerbys. Who the fuck does? Really, I do. I mean, you know... Yeah. Who can help knocking someone out with a beer bottle and robbing them when they're walking by with their head all out and exposed, just asking for it?
Right.
I mean,
they don't have to put unsuspecting in there. I mean, it's pretty well assumed that this guy didn't expect to be robbed and beaten till near death.
To be beaten and left for dead while he was robbed? I doubt he would have left the house if he did. Probably would have stayed home.
Passerby.
I don't think so. Yeah, he knew it was coming. He was addressing Gerard Tremblay. He was a 28-year-old guy here. That's when they put him in for 10 years. Yeah. The beating was of a guy named Paul Massey, M-A-S-S-E, Massey, of Tremblay, and hit him there, robbed him of over $300, like we said. Tremblay asked for the mercy of the court, pleading that he was married and the father of 2 children. Yeah. So please, I'm the sole supporter. The judge pointed out that he should have thought of his family before committing this infamous crime. You, sir, may fuck off.
Yeah.
So now it's Demers' turn in court here.
How much time do you get? 10 years. Yeah.
10 years in the penitentiary. So now Demers comes up, and he is arraigned on a charge of robbery with violence. Yeah. That's what he's got. Not a great thing here. He apparently the whole point of this is that he's trying to say that he had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. And
he was just like a bystander. And he's like, I don't even know. I'm not with that guy.
Okay.
Like, not me. I'm not with him. So, the complainant here, the Massey guy, said that Demers watched as Tremblay beat him and punched him and hit him with beer bottles and shit. He added that the complainant added that he asked Demers to give him a hand, please, but that Demers just looked on passively.
Not me. I'm not with him.
That's a pretty good sign that because I mean he is a hockey player, so something tells me he could have probably thrashed this guy on the street if he fucking wanted to. He could have, while he's hitting him with a beer bottle, pummeling him, he could have probably went over and thrown him on the ground and kicked the shit out of him if he really felt like it.
Hip checked him, anything.
He, I'm just thinking that, but he said, "Nah, I don't think so," and stood there. So I was like, Jesus, that is horrible. This has happened in the street.
Right.
This guy was a hotel guy who was leaving his hotel with the cash for the day, and they just beat him in the street like fucking monsters.
That's cold shit.
I was shocked by it, honestly. I really was, but not as surprised as I was by the sales, Jimmy. Oh, the sales in 1945. There's so many of them. These are kind of from the whole 40s era here that I found. Different ones.
My favorite part is there will be zero electronics in this.
That's the funny part.
Yeah.
Is most of this is a representation of what all the ads are for, basically. Okay. I gave it's well-rounded here. First of all, before you start your day, you are going to have to go get yourself some Black Cat Virginia cigarettes right away here. Yeah. Here we go. You're right. They do taste better. And this guy is winking at you. Say, you're not full of shit.
You can get Black. He's holding that cigarette like he's never had one before.
2 fingers holding it up. Like it's like he's waving a little flag, but the little flag is a cigarette. That's what and he's winking.
Thumb and fucking forefinger.
Yeah, and not like out like Europeans hold cigarettes. He's holding it straight up in the air, like the lit part is straight up. It's very odd.
It's delicious.
He's winking very suggestively, and says 25 and 10 cents, plain or cork tip. So either one here.
They used to have a cork tip.
A cork tip, I guess, like a Tipperillo, maybe one of those. Yeah. Like you can chew on it.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to stock up on some things. Swing by the Associated Grocers for lots of shit here. We have tomato juice, 20 ounces, 2 for 25 cents. Everybody wants that.
40 ounces. That's a lot.
That's a lot. A 16-ounce tin of spaghetti, which I don't know if that's dry spaghetti, if that's like already made spaghetti.
Just some wet shit.
25 cents, though. Okay. Mustard, only a dime. 2 cans of pork and beans for 21 cents. Oh, that's a goddamn. A Halloween layer cake, only 30 cents at the old bakery there.
Yeah.
That's good shit. Blue Label quality tea, only 82 cents. They have to import that. Let's see here. For Halloween, peanuts, 35 cents for 2 pounds. Halloween apples, $1.98 a case.
Oh.
Jesus. Suckers, box of 72. So 72 lollipops, 59 cents.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's not even a penny a piece.
32 ounces of strawberries, 37 cents. That's awesome. Lobster, Golden Crown, So, it's a tin of lobster. Ew, gross. 21 cents a tin for lobster.
Gross.
That can't be quality lobster.
I'm weirded out by 2 cans of pork and bean for 21 cents. What if I only want 1 can? That's like
you can't have one.
You can't have a dime, 10.5 cents.
No, I'm sorry. We only sell them together. It's a pair.
21 cents.
What if you only want 1 leg of a pair of pants? You're gonna sorry. You can also get almond paste, a half-pound package for 30 cents. Wow.
They've been doing almond butter that long?
Almond paste that long, absolutely. I don't know why, but they do. Sausage patties, 25 cents for sausages. Not bad. Either that or, you know what? You don't feel like cooking tonight.
Yeah.
You're going out on the town. Go see a movie.
Yeah.
Go see Alibaba and the 40 Thieves.
Oh, my.
There's that, which is kind of a famous movie. Yeah. Wild Nights of Sheer Delights. Burning Days of Bold Adventure. Raiders, Slavers, Riches, and Rogues. When beauty was the booty and the prize was all love.
Oh, my.
Starring Maria Montez, John Hall, Turam Bay, and with Andy Driver.
Yeah.
It's in Technicolor, and there it is. It looks like a big spectacle of a movie. Or you don't like that? Go see Bing Crosby in Strand, Paramount's musical knockout in the gay land of the showboat. Well then. All right, and there's old Bing with his top hat on, looking like Buff Bagwell.
With Joan Bennett and W.C. Fields. Wow.
That's it. You know it. Booth, what is this? Booth Tarkington's romantic story of Dixieland set to music. W.C. Fields. Matinees, 20 cents.
Wow.
Evenings, 30 cents. Also, Lionel Barrymore and Susan Foster in Dr. Gillespie's New Assistant, I guess is a double feature.
That sounds dirty.
It's really dirty. I found movies with Burgess Meredith from back then, from the early 40s, which he is Grumpy Old Men, Rocky, and he's the Penguin on the old Batman.
That's the one that matters there. He was so good.
Here's another one. Timber Queen. Come see the power-packed thrills in the tall timber. Oh, that's very Canadian. Starring Richard Arlen and Mary Beth Hughes.
I don't understand the plane flying through wood. What is that?
It's if it's exploding it, maybe.
Is he dropping it?
I think he's dropping a bomb on it, maybe. But that looks like a pretty cut piece. I think he's dropping wood. It looks like he's dropping wood from shitting wood from a plane. Then there's a few over here. Dreamland is one, starring Cedric Hardwicke, and The Moon is Down. Okay. Betty Grable in Coney Island.
Oh.
You can go see that. There you go. Lassie Come Home. Lassie's been around that long. Lassie Come Home with Roddy McDowell and Donald Crisp and Lassie, obviously, it says on there. Immortal Music Lives Forever. Jeanette MacDonald, Nelson Eddy in Naughty Marietta, which sounds like a porn.
Yeah.
And then the next one. And then the next one down, also playing with Naughty Marietta, is Come Live With Me, which could also be a 40s porn. That's starring Hedy Lamarr, actually, and James Stewart. Look at that. Holy shit. That's a very early James Stewart movie. So he's way down there in the billing. And then, maybe after dinner, you're going to need a bite. You're going to take a date out. Stop by to eat at the Splendid Restaurant. Mm-hmm. This is their daily menu. Cold pork, 65 cents. Roast loin of pork, 70 cents. Pot roast of beef, 65 cents. Roast leg of lamb, 70 cents. Fried oysters, 80 cents. Fried scallop, 75 cents. Chicken chow mein, which sounds like it's going to be delicious coming from this place. Sounds like ethnic food is their thing, 75 cents. And then the businessman special, whatever the fuck that is 60 cents. Or, you know what? There's another thing you can do here. Let's try to make some money tonight. Port Tallow and Reduction Works is saying, quote, wanted, dead horses, mules, cows, and hogs.
What do they want for that?
We'll remove them free of charge. What are they going to do with those things?
I'd love to know.
If someone's willing to come to your house and remove thousands of pounds of dead animals, they're going to fuck them or something weird,
They're
right?
going to serve that to people.
That is not fucking cool at all there. And then there's also bowling at the Ladies' Healthful Pleasant Enjoyment, it says. Bring your husband, it even says. The Businessmen's Club in Brownsville.
It's called the what? The business, the pleasurement? What was it called?
Ladies, it just says bowling in big letters. And it says, ladies, healthful, pleasant enjoyment at your entertainment center. Bring your husband.
Yeah.
That's the whole ad. I don't know what
words.
Those are all words. I found closing out sale. As I have sold my farm, I will sell at public auction, and it's 2 head of horses, these cows, 3-year-old heavy Springer Jersey cow, heavy milker, they said. So there's a heavy milker available if you guys are looking for that. The household articles, we got Crosby electric washing machine, new warm morning heating stove, Zenith radio, that's good stuff there. An ice box, new pillows, potatoes and onions and other things.
And other things.
And other things there's all sorts of ads for auctions of tons of different head of hogs and all this shit. I found houses, $3,600 for a house. 6-room bungalow, 3 large bright bedrooms, open fireplace, hardwood floors, trees, garage, cobblestone work, $3,600.
Less than $4,000.
That's fucking insane. Then I found one, $325 cash. You get shack gas, large lot. You can have a shack. So those are your options of housing back then.
Were the most fun.
That is a lot of fun. And then, you know what? By now, the whole day, you've run out of Black Cat cigarettes, I'm sure, because I know you're smoking 3-4 packs a day.
They're delicious.
So they're delicious. So you need to get yourself a different pack. Get yourself for a clean, cool, smooth smoke. Yeah. Make the 20 test of State Express. That's what they're called. And there's smokes 20 State Express. Taste all the flavor of rich Virginia tobaccos. You smoke it, and then they say you won't want to go back after that.
That's going to be your brand.
State Express. And then finally, at the end of the day, it's been a long day. You've seen a lot of dead mules and horses, and you need to forget. So when you need to forget, Jimmy, insist on Old Mull Fine Mellow Whiskey. Old Mull, which sounds disgusting. It's made by the Johns Hopkins Company Limited. I don't know if that's the fucking doctor or what. It says, I love this, the whiskey of pleasant memories. That's hilarious. Pleasant memories, because you're so shit-faced. You're like, I think I had a good time. Meanwhile, you got arrested.
Like I did it right.
13 ounces, $1.40.
Deal.
25 ounces, $2.60. You can get a 40 of whiskey for $4.15.
Pleasant memories, too.
And some pleasant memories to go with it. Sorry, it's whenever we do On This Old, I have to do a lot of sales because it's fucking
unbelievable.
Fun. So the trial comes around for Tony Demers here, charged with violent theft. And just so fucking funny. It's highlighted here in the beginning by the testimony of Gerard Tremblay, who was coming in from his 10-year prison term.
took a break from his bid to testify.
Yeah, that's right. They bring him in. He says that he, I guess Tony had offered him $200 to, quote, do the job on Massey. He said. So he said, Tony offered me to beat this guy up. He said he'd give me $200. Meanwhile, Tony doesn't know this guy. This guy doesn't know Tony. So there's no like connection to where Tony be like, I want that guy's ass kicked for money. Right. It's a weird thing. Massey, he said that this guy, Tremblay, said he refused to do it. He's like, I wouldn't do it. I didn't want to do it. That's his defense. Meanwhile, he did do it, and he's convicted of it. Now, Demers, he says his whole defense is, I had no part in this. I had nothing. He said that he declared that he was aware of what occurred only when he saw the blood-spattered hotel keeper lying unconscious on the ground.
That's when he found it. That's what he said.
Near the entrance to an alley. He said, I didn't even know what happened until I saw a bloody guy laying there. So now the guy was like, well, that's funny. I begged for your help while he was beating me.
Remember when I asked for you to tell him to stop? At least tell him. At least say something.
No shit. He says, this is Demers' story. He says that Massey, who is the beaten man, another party and himself met on January 19th to see a boxing match. Okay, that's what he said. They went to the Forum to see a boxing match. Then Demers said, quote, "We all went to the Bellevue afterwards and later decided to go to 1454 City Hall Avenue for some beer." That's the address of the beating. Now, the guy, Demers, said that he knew Mr. Massey well. I guess the other guy said he didn't know him. So he said he knew Mr. Massey well. He said they were all sitting together. This is Demers saying this, until he got up and went to the restroom. He said, "When I returned, Massey was gone, but then Tremblay was sitting there." So he said, one guy was gone and he was traded for somebody else. He said, "So I went outside to see what happened, look around, see if my friend's walking down the street." He said that's when he turned and he saw Massey lying unconscious in the snow, bleeding.
Yeah.
So
this is a story?
This is his story. The prosecutor, when he's on the stand, asked him what his profession was, and he replied, "Professional hockey player." And the prosecutor was asking him, like, "Do you fight in hockey?
Yeah.
Have you, things like that?"
Is that your thing?
Yes. Is there that? Then they also said, "What else do you do on the side? Do you have other things? Are you involved in illegal activities that people would owe you money for, that you would want to collect and have them beaten with a beer bottle in the snow?"
Okay.
They're basically saying that this he owed him money is probably a betting thing and all this sort of shit. So now the defense was indignant about this. They were like, "How dare you?" They said that he was ready to show a newly signed contract between Demers and a hockey team for $7,500, and he does not need to do illegal activities on the side. How dare you? So this is a ridiculous court case for what's a pretty obvious thing. I mean, if I'm with you and a third party comes and starts beating you, and you ask me for help and I just don't, I just stand there and watch it, seemingly satisfying, you think I'm in on it, right? You're not thinking like, oh, he's just in shock.
Right.
Like, Demers is a hockey player. A fighting isn't going to make him demure and like run in a corner. He's going to run to it, I would think. So it's just ridiculous. So the sergeant investigated the case, testified that Demers had given a description of the presumed assailant, which was similar to the one that the victim gave. He said at the time, the detective said he didn't even think of arresting Demers because he was the guy's friend. They said, but they're trying to make it seem like at the time, like the guy who was beaten was too scared to say that Demers was in on it while the cops were there because he didn't want to be beaten again. The detectives say that he definitely was there. I don't even know why they allowed this testimony in because he admitted to being there. They said they found a button off the coat of Demers at the scene of the assault.
Oh,
and they
no!
said later on, when they talked to Demers, they noticed one button missing from the overcoat that he was wearing, and then they found that near the beating site. So
Sometimes
they were like,
mine shed whenever I tell people that I can't be involved in this.
Yeah, when I see people get beat up, buttons pop off my overcoat all the time. So now Tremblay testifies that Demers had told him that Massey had about $900 on him, and that Demers offered to give him $100 to beat him up and rob him and take his money and give it to him. So that's what he did. Tremblay swore that he refused and maintained that he had nothing to do with the whole affair. Nothing to do with it. Another witness, a Florence Hero, she said that she heard the voice of Demers call for the police, and detectives did admit that Demers went with the victim to the hospital, which could also be to keep him fucking quiet. So that to me doesn't excuse or convict him. That's irrelevant. Then the complainant, the beaten man, testified that he had asked Demers to defend him, and he wouldn't do it. So it kept going on and on. Essentially, he was ordered held bail on $950. He gets out from doing that, and they end up acquitting him of this whole thing. He is freed of everything. They said that he acquitted. Take a walk. They said, declared there was no proof of guilt against Demers, and he further maintained that much of the evidence tended to show that Demers did everything in his power to stop the assailant. Short of stopping the assailant. Actually doing that.
I mean, there is a button showing that there was a scuffle.
That's what I mean. That's what I thought. But Demers said the only time it could have been a scuffle was not Demers fighting with the other guy, be fighting with the victim. They said the fact that the complaint was laid against Demers by the complaint a month after the incident spoke by itself, the judge said. Also, he could be afraid of him. That's why the guy rode to the hospital with him. I think he was in on it, and that's that. Now, above this article, there's a very funny thing here that says, it's right below him. It says, the accused played for a few seasons for the Canadians and was known to have a deadly shot. Okay? Right connected with that. Maurice Sarrazin, 19, they give his address, blah, 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 and Albert Mawison, his address, were before the judge on a charge of having held up Tom Lee, a 68-year-old Chinese, not far from his home. I'm like, Jesus.
Not a Chinese man? Just
not even a Chinese person or man, a 68-year-old Chinese. Jesus Christ. They said they happened to be nearby, arrested the two after a lively sprint, and they pleaded not guilty, and they ended up being found guilty. So anyway, there was that.
Good Lord.
So they're hilarious. Yeah. They're amazing. So Demers is just free. That's it. He's free, clear, no robbery for him. Mm-hmm. Obviously an innocent man.
Yeah.
I think he's got a lot more going on than even lets on. I think this dude has like some kind of little racket going on. I think maybe he's got some gambling action going on. There's something happening here, definitely. He ends up signing with the Quebec Senior League, which is actually a really, really good league, apparently. It offers salaries that are sometimes higher than the NHL. Even.
Well, because it's generally going to be the guys that are done playing hockey at the National League or National Hockey
heroes
level.
Right, the hockey heroes.
They've got names. They're draws.
Yeah, I could see it's almost like also a separate league. Like there's a lot of guys that if you're mediocre, you can make a lot of money in Europe or minimal amount here back in the 80s and shit. So that's kind of how that was. He ends up signing with the Hyacinth, I guess? St. Hyacinth Saints. It's a lot of sainting going on there. He has a great season in 45-46. 34 games played, 50 goals, 29 assists.
In the senior league.
That's impressive. 79 points in 34 games is fucking good.
Very good.
It's really good. That's 2 points a game plus. 1946, though, he has a problem here. February of 1946, he has a broken leg again.
Oh, no. That leg, Jesus.
It's again the same leg, too. It's just a fractured right leg last night against Lachine. And, he will not be back in service this season. He'll be out for the whole season. It happened when he tried to make a quick turn after he'd been jammed into the boards. And it's the second time he suffered a broken leg while playing hockey and the third overall because he fucking broke one in a car accident.
Can you imagine turning fast and your leg just fucking shatters?
Yeah.
That's what I assume happens to everybody in the senior hockey league, P.S.
Yeah.
Move
lots
too
of leg
fast
shatters.
And your legs can't do it anymore.
Lots of leg shatters going on. He's back for the 47-48 season, though. He's only 30, by the way. For 47-48
hockey, James.
Yeah, that's just not in the NHL anymore.
Wow.
He plays for the Sherbrooke Saints, and in 52 games, he has 62 goals and 46 assists.
Jesus.
Which is absolutely dominant. That's wild. That's really, really, really good. 1948 comes around. I saw this. He's like leading in everything, too. And by the end of the 48 season, for the 48-49 season, he is given the Bing Trophy, Byng Trophy, B-Y-N-G Trophy, as the most valuable player of the league here. Very impressive. That year, 48-49, he had 60 games played, 53 goals, 58 assists.
Wow.
Amazing. So for the Sherbrooke Red Raiders in 48-49. So, he does that. He gets he also hurts himself at one point as well. Again, to collect his trophy, he has to be helped onto the ice to collect his trophy. So he's all sorts of hurt. He is also voted, by the way, this year by the league, the most gentlemanly player.
Gentlemanly.
So he is the MVP and also most gentlemanly player, the MGP.
Very
as well.
Sportsmanlike.
Very sportsmanlike. He's a gentleman, Jimmy. I mean, he's a gentleman. That's all there is to it. So It's good stuff. I don't know what he's doing, but gentleman doesn't really come to mind, I don't think, for this guy. Seems like he's just kind of a boozing, kind of funny, having a good time, kind of a nightlife, 40s kind of, hey, see, what are you doing there? See, smoking a cigarette, fedora wearing kind of cat.
Leaving overcoat buttons at crime scenes. That's a gentleman. Yeah.
Leaving overcoat buttons near people who've been beaten and left for dead with a beer bottle.
That's generally a clue to finding the culprit. You know what I mean? Like
sometimes. So early 1949, Tony's been married this whole time, by the way, surprisingly. Early 1949, they file for divorce, him and his wife. They petition for divorce. His wife's name, by the way, Mary Bridget Ellen Conway. There's a lot of names.
Okay, she's got two names.
Mary Bridget Ellen Conway Demers.
Right.
That's her name. So there's a problem at the beginning of the 49-50 season, and that is that Tony is suspended for 10 games from the league because, and this is what I mean with his kind of questionable stuff here, he was playing in an intermediate playoff game for some other league that he's not a part of.
Some bullshit game.
Yeah, at Rigaud last Sunday. He paced this team with 3 goals, and then he went to play for another team here. He ends up going, where's the details here? Okay. They announced the suspension, saying that he played with an intermediate B team under the name, quote, B. Taylor. That was his name.
He took
a pseudonym.
Wow.
Yeah. He took an alias. He was recognized by a referee, Charles Diesel, who had refereed games that he was in before. He was a professional referee, and they ended up telling on him. I guess the suspension was ordered under the Canadian Amateur Hockey Association ruling, which forbids players to use an assumed name and to play with a club which they are not duly registered.
Right.
Wow. They also said the main problem with it was
a rule, so that means people have done this a lot.
Yeah, it's a ringer thing. They just say it's like a normal Demers is a ringer. They say they bring in a ringer under an assumed name.
I'm Ty Bradley.
Tuck his mullet up into his helmet. That's how it fucking works, man.
Yeah.
So the main issue they have is, and the reason why, because they're like, why would he do this? Like, he makes good money. He's playing in another league. Like, why would he do this? Then they figured out that betting on the game was said to have run way more than normal. Like, there was a shitload of bets on the game, and we think possibly that's why he's involved in it, because there's a lot of gambling on this game, and he was a part of that. So they said Demers' case is going to be brought before the committee and all this type of shit. Apparently said, he played for Dorian. That was the name of the team, and he was in the lineup under B. Taylor, scored 2 goals. The team won 6-1. Everything was all great, and then that referee recognized him, and the game ends up being played under protests because they're saying they don't believe that shit. They said there was heavy wagering on the outcome of the game, and it was the 6th game of a best of 7 series, and there was bets as high as $18,000 on this game, which in 1949 is a fuckload of money. That's like hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's so much money. That's 10-year salary for people back then. That's so much money.
Were they betting on B. Taylor on his team?
That's they're trying to figure out. They said more than half of the amount changed hands at the rink side after the game was over. This is a lot of cash bets on the spot. The officials filed a report, and it came through, and he ended up being suspended. He said, listen, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, I just merely, quote, played for a friend.
Yeah.
He said his friend was Tony Lalonde, was the coach of the Dorian team, and he said, I just said, hey, what the hell here, I'll just go on here. I'll help my friend out and everything like that. He said, I thought it was just an exhibition, and the coach said, Tony Demers did it as a favor for me. We're old friends. Like, that doesn't matter. I had a lot of the game. We really needed to win this one. He said that a coach of the Sherbrooke said team that he plays for normally, Demers. He said he had seen Demers at the Queen's Hotel Sunday night after the game, and that out of nowhere, he said Demers said he was going out to a show, and And then that was that. He never came back. He also came back with a knee injury from this game and said he wanted the doctors to look at his knee, and then they found out he got it playing somewhere else. So they weren't real happy about that.
Yeah.
No, he is suspended 10 games for you, sir. May fuck off. 10 games. But I love that they asked him, did you play under the name of B. Taylor? And he said no, even though he admitted to doing that earlier. But yeah, he... it's fucking hilarious. The referee, by the way, when they found him, figured out who he was. They skated over to say, did I mishear your name? You're, Tony Demers. And he was like, no, I'm B. Taylor. I don't know what you're talking about.
Initial.
Demers said that he met Lalonde, the coach, while betting at a racetrack.
Oh, boy.
And then they asked him, well, did you ever bet on a hockey game? And he said, oh, God, no. No, I would never do that.
I gamble like a bastard, just not on this.
Only on the ponies. Come on. He said he didn't know he required permission to play in the exhibition game. And, he said, what the fuck? I don't know what I'm doing. I think it's fine. I didn't do anything wrong. And they said, yeah, you did. Lots of money exchanged hands, $10,000, or 10 games. So they reinstate him after 10 games. And he does really well. He has 4 goals in his first game back, powering his team to victory. And then 2 weeks later, he hurts himself again.
That sounds like our guy.
Yep, he hurts himself again. He's pretty banged up again. I think he hurts his leg, I believe, here, and so he's a little bit upset. So he's hurt. The season's over. He's ready for the 1949-1950 season. So ready for it that in September of that season, he's got to go out and party and get ready and loose for the season. And on September 15th, 1949, specifically, he goes out to do that. He is ends up hanging out with a woman named Anita Robert, is her name. And she is a married woman, as is he's still a married man. She's a married woman. Her husband is a chef who works at the Banff Springs Hotel in Alberta, which is nowhere near where they are.
No.
And she is planning to join him the next day to go out to Alberta and join him. So this is like a kind of a going away party. But it's still a fresh marriage. Like, they got married, he went off to work, and she hasn't even joined him yet. Her father has never even met the husband.
Really?
That's how new this is. Yeah, like her father, John, has never met this guy. He doesn't know him. I don't know if she just went off and what the fuck happened. She eloped or what the deal was. Anyway, she had a bunch of people visiting because she's going to leave. Her 2 sisters, Bella Burke and Laurette Williamson, were also visiting, and her parents were there. Her dad was around. Everybody was hanging out, and Demers comes over as well. Yeah. He comes over to hang out. He had met Anita 7 years ago, so it's kind of been like on and off. He's, when he's in town, he hangs out with her, and for 7 years. But he said that they had become very close for the last 2 years while he's been married and she's been engaged and married as well. Right. So it's a little bit interesting here. So on the evening of September 15th here, Demers here, like I said, his wife is a receptionist for the city of Montreal, and they're about to get a divorce. This is the first time Demers meets Anita's family as well. He comes over kind of for the going away party. And the first time he came to her house, and this is a thing because she had been telling Tony that that she comes from a wealthy family, and her parents were very well off. Yeah. And apparently not only are they not well off, they're like really poor instead. And like the house is a super big piece of shit, and it's not anything like she described, and she's been lying to him for 7 years about her family. I can't
gamble any of this.
Yeah. Essentially been lying about the whole thing for 7 years.
But it's been hot, Tony. Just enjoy it.
I mean, it's good. Anita said that she had anxiety over the whole thing because she didn't want to be found out as a liar. Right. Demers, once he came over, said he didn't care either way, didn't care what kind of family she was from. He's like, I got my own gambling ring. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we're going to be all right.
Demers, though, he went out and bought 3 bottles of beer and a bottle of rye, which is they're going to all drink, apparently. And they all drank it. It's the LaBerge home. That's her parents' name. They all drank it, and everybody kind of got boozy. When they finished all the booze among these few people, they all went, the father, John, Anita, and Tony, all went to the Coda Cook House for a drink. Okay, that's the name of the place, the Coda Cook House. And everyone noticed, including the employees, that Demers was pretty hammered when he walked in. Like, they were like, ooh, look at this guy stumbling in.
He showed up drunk.
He showed up shit-faced.
I like it.
They all sit together and they drank some beer and some shit like that. But the thing, I forgot to tell you this. Before they left the house, this is a sign that you don't need to go with this guy. Before they left the house, he had been like doing weird shit. Like, he'd been like taking his shirt off and flexing his muscles and was telling people that he had 6 toes and he was like bragging about it and shit like that. Like, he was just a drunken mess and was like, look at how strong I am.
I still got my foreskin. Look it.
Yes. It was because the mother was like, oh, maybe you guys should stay. He's pretty drunk. And he took his shirt off to show that he wasn't a kid and he could handle his booze because he was muscular.
That's not how that works.
Yeah.
Just be sober.
The father said he took his shirt off, quote, to show that he wasn't a schoolboy. I think we get that.
You've got a gray beard, sir. You're fine. We know that you're not a child.
Yeah. We understand, sir. We've seen your giant veiny cock. We read all about it in the newspaper. Your proclivity for busting loads in the opposing goalies. So the mother didn't want them to go out together, apparently. Didn't want everybody to go out with Tony because he was so drunk. Tony argued with them at the house. They said that the mother said that Anita seemed afraid of Demers and yet fascinated by him, which she likes the bad boy, apparently, which is what you would say in 1949. They said that also her father, Anita's father, said that Anita, quote, seemed afraid of displeasing him and did not oppose any of his remarks. Yeah. She was kind of going along with stuff. Everybody knows she's a married woman and she's supposed to be leaving to go with her husband, but Demers is telling everybody that he wanted to marry Anita, and earlier he had introduced her at a hotel as his wife as well. Yeah. And so anyway, Anita and her father and Tony all go for a drink, like we said. They go out to a bar for a drink here, to a restaurant, whatever. Demers orders, keep in mind, this is 1949. Yeah. So a drink, even a good scotch, is like 30 cents. Right. You know what I'm saying? He orders $40 worth of drinks.
James, remember how much 40 ounces of whiskey was?
$4.
Yeah.
$4. He orders $40 worth of drinks.
Holy shit.
Which is an obscene amount of booze. Yeah. And he had like the money in his hand. He wasn't like, he had like, I got fear. I want this, that, this. He was naming off bottles. I want champagne. I want fucking shots, all this shit, right? So the waiter said, I don't think so. Why don't you start with one drink? How about that? Because they know he's shit-faced as it is.
Right.
I'm not going to bring out a cart for him.
How about 65 cents worth of a drink first?
Yeah. The $4 will get your whole table so drunk you can't walk. What are you doing with $40? It's not even necessary. So apparently the waiter just saying, no, I think maybe you start with that and we'll move on from there. Demers became really pissed off at this. Yeah. Like, how dare you not bring me what I order, waiter?
What is that, by the way? Drunk people being upset when they're told no. Like, what is that?
Because they get upset when they get drunk. They get that drunk because there's something wrong to begin.
Yeah.
Well, when they get that drunk and that's sad and they're like angry and sad, then they didn't get drunk for fun. They get drunk to do something.
Right.
And then I feel like there's some kind of like deep-seated thing that they're taking out on you from whatever else is happening. You treat me like a kid. Yeah. Everybody treats me like a child.
Right.
That's what they start saying. Everybody does it.
And then you start behaving like one.
Yeah. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? But I mean, it's a weird drunk person thing.
There's a certain set of self-awareness that comes with drinking. Then once it's gone, that's perhaps that's what it is. They're pointing out to you that your self-awareness is out the window. You don't realize what we see you as right now, and then they're just like, I'm not that. You are you're that,
sir.
Yeah
you are.
Every time I've ever been cut off, I'm like, oh no, what did I do?
Yeah,
what have I become?
This is my fault.
No, I gotta go home.
Did you ever get angry and threaten to smash up the place?
Never. Every time I've ever been told no
Tony
more,
did.
I'm like, I gotta go.
Oh no, okay. Jesus. Someone else had to tell me how bad I am. Yeah, that's not good.
I leave every single time. I don't want anybody else to see whatever that guy just saw.
No, he became angry and threatened to, quote, smash up the place.
Wow.
And so Anita's sister said, hey, why don't we all go? Why don't we all just leave? This isn't working out. We'll go somewhere else and buy $40 worth of drinks. What do you say? So they do leave. Anita's father goes home and goes to sleep. He has work the next morning. He doesn't have time for this shit. He goes home and goes to sleep. Anita, though, stays with him, and they go out some more. She gets into his car. It's a 1938 Chevrolet Coach. Cool. It's a big monster, too. Yeah, it's one of big old giant monster car. 19th shit. It's over 10 years old. To drive to Magog, M-A-G-O-G.
Yeah.
Now, Demers, on the ride, tells her that, he's upset that she's moving to Banff and that, all of this type of shit. And, I'd rather you stayed here and, all this type of stuff. They apparently, I guess, had planned a trip with her father during that weekend, but then she was supposed to leave, so it got canceled. So he's like, I don't like this. He also was telling everybody that he planned to marry her as soon as she divorced her husband. So, but she hadn't said she was going to divorce her husband. She said she was going to go to Alberta and live with him.
Okay.
So, Demers said that she was very upset about her exaggerations of being wealthy, that she got caught, and she was embarrassed about that the whole night. Demers says here that while they're driving, Anita threatened to toss herself from the car while it moved onto the road because, quote, he wouldn't love her anymore after meeting her father, who was, the way she put it, not only poor, but clad in his worker clothing with bruises on his face from a recent fist fight. Her father's
that guy.
A hard-working, hard-drinking, works in like a fucking mine and comes out. And so her father's like Mad Dog Vachon or something.
He's pissed about it.
Yeah, exactly. So he's a hard-drinking, hard-fighting, hard-working kind of guy. So she thought, oh, no, he's not going to want me anymore. Okay. This is there's multiple stories here. Apparently they drove into a ditch at one point, and Anita grabbed the wheel away from him to try to she was hysterical the way he put it, and grabbing the wheel and screaming and wanting to jump out of the car. So apparently he pushed her, and then she called him a nasty name the way he put it. She cursed him.
Yeah.
So this led him to hit her, is what he said. Then he'll deny it later, but now at first he said he hit her. Now, his thing was, he said he awoke in his car the next morning, parked on the side of the road between Magog and Cody Cook, so they never made it all the way there. And he saw Anita there as well, but she looked all badly beaten up. He said, oh, no, what happened here?
Who did this?
Who broke into my car and beat everywhere I am? I fall asleep, I go to the bathroom, and people pop up and beat people I'm with half to death. What's going on with this shit?
Right.
Just beating them unconscious and leaving them for dead. I'm a bad luck charm.
Happens all
I'm
the
a
time.
reverse. Happens all the. I'm a reverse rabbit's foot. I'm fucking awful. So he drove the car not to the hospital because she's badly beaten, obviously. To his friend's house, Robert Pruneau's house, he had an unoccupied lakeside cottage near the Little Lake Magog, and he gets there and then calls his friend, I guess from his friend's own house, and asks him for advice. This Pruneau's advice was, well, I would take her to the hospital is what I would do. That's it. He said, there's one in Magog there. I'd turn around, get in the car, and take her there, since she's unconscious and all.
I don't have gourmet coffee nor a friend named the Wolf, so get your ass to the hospital.
I got nothing for you. That's it. And I got fresh towels. I can give you that. But so Demers drives her to the hospital, carries her dramatically into the hospital while she's unconscious and bloody.
Like an entrance.
He identified himself to the staff and said, I'm Tony Demers. I have this woman, and I'll pay for any medical treatment required. Just make sure you take care of her. And he left her there.
Okay.
Unconscious for dead. Left her there. So she stayed in the hospital that night, and then at 1:40 p.m. the next day, she died.
of her injuries.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
She died. Cause of death, a brain hemorrhage caused by blows delivered from a blunt instrument such as a stone, a wooden board, or fists.
Bashed about the head.
Beaten to death about the head and face eventually here. Police go tell Demers about it, and he expresses shock. She's dead. What do you mean? And they said, let's take you on into custody and have a chat with you, mister. It's about 5 p.m. She dies at 1:40. About 5 p.m. they have him in custody, and they want to talk to him. They said that they, quote, promptly took him into custody, pending arrival of homicide squad members from Montreal. Homicide Squad. So the chief had been called by the hospital there to investigate the possibility of foul play in connection with the, by the way, nude unconscious bloody woman. She was nude when he brought her in.
He brought her in a fascinating detail.
I forgot. I don't know how I missed that. Bloody, battered, unconscious, and nude, and was like, I'm Tony Demers. Here's a woman. Yeah. I'll pay for everything. Have a good one. And then he takes off. Send me a bill. Bye. Which is fucking crazy. So the chief was informed that the man had stopped his car in front of the hospital and carried her into the hospital, left immediately, telling Dr. Ralph Boudry, quote, she had a bad accident and I was asked to take her here. Okay. So I just found her and they said, hey, can you take her to the hospital? I'm like the Uber driver. I'm nothing here. So they said, the police said, we were given a good description of the man and it tallied perfectly with that of Tony Demers. And the chief also said that he knew it was Tony Demers because he had known him for several years. So when he heard about that, super drunk guy doing dumb shit looks like that, that's Tony Demers. I mean,
I've got his jersey.
We all know that. I got it all. So a newspaper reporter went to the house, went to her parents' house to get a statement, and that's how the family found out, from a newspaper reporter knocking on their door going, what do you think of your unconscious, dead, nude daughter being carried into the hospital by a hockey player? And they were like, pardon? Yeah. Come again? Doing what now? They didn't even know she'd been hurt. She was just going out drinking and going out and having fun, and then the next day next night they're like, hey, your daughter's been dead for all day, and they, you didn't know that? Shit. They didn't inform. They informed the press before the next of kin, which is
so fucked.
It's fucking really disgusting. Her husband returns to Quebec here for the funeral, and her mother said she was very, very sad. She said, quote, I told her not to go with him. She should have listened to me. I had a premonition that something terrible has happened, and when I did not hear from her all day today, this is a frightening thing, a horrible thing. I told my husband he should have kept her from going with him. It's a terrible thing. She was always a clever girl, well-educated and popular, but her mind was turned. I think made up is basically what she's trying to say there. Her mind was made up. I mean, this is a fucking disaster, man. It just is. She's 32 years old. This woman, I mean, like a young woman. Not that it matters her age, but still, it's like it's a little better if she was like 93 or something. You'd go, well, I mean, it's cruel, but at least she didn't have her whole life ahead of her. This poor woman was
like this in her 90s. Good for her.
Good for her. Maybe it was a car accident. Anything. They're very fragile in those days, but. It's fucking interesting. Anyway, so he is busted, and he's sitting in jail. They arrest him and they're talking to him, and they keep bringing different people in to interrogate him. They have the Montreal Homicide Squad guys. They have other people, the Hama Squads. Right. They got the Hama Squad. Then they got the regular cops too that they're bringing in to kind of buffer. Yeah. And doing different things, and all sorts of people are coming in, so he's not even paying attention. And then out of nowhere, the door just bursts open, and he's very surprised. He's never seen this man before. Yeah. It's Andrew Theron.
Hell yeah.
Ice cream marketing expert and revenge-seeking financial victim.
Yeah.
And fucking hero. And he says... is it you've come to arrive here, pal? Look at you. No, I'm not listening to you. Nah, Tony Demers, look at you. If you played for the Bruins, I could give you a pass, but I'm not going to hear. Let me tell you something, and I don't say this lightly. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to rape your wife. I am. I'm sorry. That's how angry I am at the whole thing. I've been threatened it, and I'm threatening it toward you now, pal. I'm going to get her. I know she's getting divorced from me and everything else, but I feel like it's the only way you're going to learn, pal. That's how angry I am with you. This poor lady, you're taking her out in the car. You guys are driving around. You're fucking drunk. What, you beating her up? What's wrong with you?
How'd you like it if somebody did it to your wife?
What about you? Oh, you don't care. All right, so you don't even care about your wife. Fine. So what do you care about? I'll rape that. I don't even care. What are you doing? Well, how about I rape you? Hold on. I'm closing this door. Yeah, that's right. I got a uniform. I got a guard's uniform. I took this. I'm a very sneaky man. I'm very clever. I know what I'm doing. Let's close that door. I've read a lot about your veiny hog, pal. Let's see what you're working with.
They were right.
They were right. I'm going to take that with me as a souvenir. How's that sound? And then poof, out of nowhere, he is in a in a cloud of
vengeance.
Phone records and investigative trails. He's gone. And Tony is
driving
records and everything else. Yeah. Tony's very confused. Now, Demers told them this story, that he left Cody Cook in his car last night with them. This is his initial police story. Yeah. They drank at several places in the Magog district and then were heading back to Cody Cook. So not that they didn't get there. They drank more, and then were on their way back. So how much he's drank by now is wild.
Magog.
This was 2 a.m., and he said the car went out of control and landed in a ditch. That's what happened. Out of control.
They do that, yeah.
When you're shit-faced.
Yeah.
So he said he succeeded in putting the car back on the road, but she refused to get back into the car at that point.
Too, yeah.
You know, because he's shit-faced and she's mad at him. So he said he beat her up, struck her with his fists, and then put her in the rear seat and got in the front seat himself and fell asleep. So he said he awoke at daylight and saw she was still unconscious. So he was like, oh, no, I didn't expect that. I hit her a couple times. He drove to the cottage, and he said that she had not regained consciousness after efforts to revive her. So that's when she took her to the hospital. That's when he took her to the hospital. The detective said that bloodstains had been found in the rear of his car, while patches of hair were found on a door handle.
Oh, my God.
That's not what he said happened. That's something else. Patches of hair found on a fucking door handle.
Bash her head on the door handle?
He had to have bashed her head on the door handle, which would also, that would make sense.
That'll kill you.
Everything. Now, the prosecutor in this case asked to withdraw from the case due to what he calls, quote, close ties to the NHL. So he's going to...
What did he do?
Recuse himself because he, I guess, represents hockey teams or something.
I love hockey.
So he insists that she'd been crying because she feared that he wouldn't love her after meeting her parents. He said, quote, they were very poor and she had always told me they were very well off. So earlier, he's had multiple stories, by the way. This is his court story.
Yeah.
Earlier to the police, his story was that she jumped from the car while it was moving, and that's how she hurt herself. She jumped from a moving car, and he said that he couldn't remember if he carried, or they asked him, did you carry or drag her to the cottage? And he said, quote, I couldn't say, I was too drunk.
Wow.
So this is bad.
No road rash on her body, just a bunch of... blunt force to her head. She just bounced. Her head just bounced on the concrete. That's all.
Doink, and then she fell dead.
Yeah, she jumped and landed on her head 37 times.
You know, like a cartoon character would, like Wile E. Coyote would probably. So another witness was a Mrs. Lawrence Kingdon of Cody Cook, who told of showing Demers an apartment that he wished to rent. And he had told Demers, who had told before of being divorced a year ago, had said he'd get his wife to look at the flat. So that's somebody else. He called her Anita his wife. Yeah. Some of the other evidence concerned the question of whether she should have been treated for shock at the hospital during the trial. The doctor said he did not give her the normal blood plasma for shock because blood was discovered in the spinal fluid, and it was understood that plasma was not given in such cases until the bleeding has been controlled. Jesus. So, yeah, by piecing it together with other people, they had several drinks at the hotel. They came back to Sherbrooke. They visited more hotels. He solicited advertising for a sports publication in Montreal in which he was interested. So he had like a sports newspaper.
Yeah.
He's shit-faced at these places trying to get them to advertise in his newspaper. They went back to the home, drank, blah, 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 came back, did their thing, went out to the bars. They had some arguments. He's saying the car went off the road at a high rate of speed. By the way, also when she's brought into the hospital, she's nude, unconscious, beaten about the face. Her nose was smashed to one side of her face. That's how bad she was beaten. Her nose was not in the same place it should have been. This is
God.
Of beating. We'll get to the exact number of blows that were rained down upon her in a moment here. He said he took her to the hospital at 11 a.m., and then he went home to change, and he picked up clothes, and he said he went to the Labarges to pick up her, the Labarges, blood-stained, and went to the Labarges up her purse. I don't know, Labarged up, I don't even know how, the newspaper is like weird, and it's hard to read that, so I will skip that. He told Mrs. Labarge that Anita was very tired and sleeping. He went to get her purse from her parents' house after she was unconscious to take to the hospital with her, and lied to her parents and said that she's very tired and sleeping, not she's unconscious, and I dumped her at the fucking hospital. Then he returned to Magog to inquire about her condition, not knowing that she had died while he was gone. That's when he was placed under arrest, and he denied that he made, quote, any serious attack on her. They talked to the father. He talked about, drinking with them and doing all that sort of thing. So they established that he was very drunk. They also, Anita's sister said that Tony had appeared in an argumentative mood and all of that shit. And when she last saw Anita had no bruises or marks on her. So this happened after that. Now, the medical thing here, this is Dr. Jean-Marie Roussel of Montreal. He declared that the death could not have resulted from a fall unless, quote, she had fallen many times and rolled over many times.
Yeah.
Just what we said. There were 14 distinct injuries to her body besides the several to her head. Jimmy, she'd been beaten all fucking over her body, including her head to the point of severe brain hemorrhaging. Wow. He also said internal hemorrhages in other parts of her body he listed as a secondary cause of death. She was internally bleeding all over the place. Jeez. That's how bad he beat her.
Just a sustained beating everywhere.
Of her whole body, Jimmy. Like her head, her fucking body. This is disturbing. This is fucking disturbing. So he goes to trial for this, obviously. He's charged with murder.
Really?
Here. He's charged with murder. The justice, they said that he's trying to say that I didn't know she was dead. How could I have murdered her if I, thought she was okay? Then obviously I didn't kill her, which doesn't make any sense as a legal argument, but that's fine. They said that he's trying to keep a statement that he made out of the whole thing. The statement revealed from the morning of the death in which Demers told the police he, quote, slapped her face and struck her with his fist after she had cursed him. That's the exact wording he used. He also told the police that he had known her for 7 years. He admitted that he was dating her for the last 2 years. They admitted post-mortem photos shown to the jury of her that clearly revealed the black eye, broken nose, blows to the head and the body. The defense counsel objected to them being let in on the grounds that they were not prejudicial or anything, immoral. That's a naked woman you're showing there. Yeah.
You can't look at vagina without her consent.
No. It's a bruising, you fucking idiot. So over 2 hours, Demers testified in his own defense. He was described as giving testimony by a reporter as, quote, calmly, coolly, and occasionally with flashes of humor. So he was downright charming on the stand, they said, basically. The prosecutor said of Demers, called him, quote, a good actor, suave with a soft voice, attempting to impress the jury. He's had a wonderful memory of what happened the night of the tragedy, but couldn't remember to answer any incriminating questions. He remembers everything perfectly except for the the shit that's a crime.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. I don't know. My memory cuts off right as she lost consciousness, I feel like. It's as my fist is going toward her face, I just blacked out.
As soon as the beating started, I really don't recall much.
I don't know what it was.
It's as if somebody beat it out of me. I don't know.
They called it abundant brain hemorrhages. And, he said that they said black eye, face was covered in blood, nose was pushed to one side. She looked like she had been beaten by many people who were very fucking angry. Yeah. This is terrible. I feel horrible for this woman. Imagine being that father who is clearly a guy who doesn't take any shit.
I can't imagine. As whether or not you take shit or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck,
but you were there. Hear me out. You're a hard drinking, work clothes wearing, fist fighting, bar having kind of guy, and you were just out with this motherfucker, and you left, and then they left. Like, if you were there, you're thinking, I could have broke his fucking neck if I was there.
Yeah.
And now, I left him alone. That's got to be a lot of guilt, especially for that guy. I mean, I feel bad for him. I do. I feel bad for all these people, Jimmy. But not nearly as bad as I feel for Tony Demers. What is this? Regional sales representative at Bytown Lumber. Yeah. In where is this? The Ottawa metropolitan area. There you go. Here, Tony Demers, co-owner and president at Bin 312 Wine Cellar in Providence, Rhode Island. There you go. Get some wine from those
Beautiful.
people. Buy some shit from them. Tony Demers, credit analyst at Centrix Bank in Bedford, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I don't trust this fucking guy to do my credit. Tony Demers, forklift operator at Fastenal in Overland Park, Kansas.
Yeah.
I feel bad for you, sir. You're not a
very
murderer.
elderly forklift driver who murders women.
He's 90 years old, 104 years old. So the verdict comes around.
Yeah.
The jury takes less than 10 minutes to come back with a verdict.
Holy shit.
That is really quick.
That's like a bathroom break and back in.
Yeah, that's it. We'll do the vote quick when we get out. Just everybody pee and then we'll do it fast. Raise of hands. Okay. So 10 minutes. They reject the murder charge. Mm-hmm. Okay. They place that aside, but convict him of manslaughter instead, the lesser count. And they ask for leniency of sentencing for him as well somehow.
Are these all his children on? What is this?
I don't know if they're hockey fans or if... I don't know if booze was so... People got so shit-faced so often and it was so acceptable back then. Like now people expect you to know your limits as far as like you should know when you can't drive. You should know all this shit. Back then they'd be like, whew, he was blacked out. Poor guy can't be blamed for nothing, man. It was a different era when it came to personal drinking responsibility. Like you weren't expected to have any. So, so they ask for leniency in sentencing. The maximum sentence they can give him for manslaughter is 25 years in prison. Mm-hmm. And we'll find out what the judge decides here. November 23rd, 1949 is sentencing. And just like the English, the Canadian judges put a little stank on their sentencing. Yeah. Let's get on with this one. This will put an end to your brilliant career as an international athlete. It is a pity that the strength which you displayed so proudly should have been used so brutally and savagely against a feeble, intoxicated woman who you had subjected to your passions and desires, that not even the tearful pleading of her mother could keep her from going on with you. You drank a great deal that day, knowing that liquor would make you quarrelsome, and as a result, you killed her. You plunged this woman into eternity without any preparation.
Oh,
good God. During your sojourn in penitentiary, I hope you will think of the fate of Anita Robert, and that you will repent. You, sir, may fuck off. This is perfect for that. 15 years in prison.
That's it.
15. Takes the jury's leniency request at heart. 15 years. Could have got 25. That is wild.
Beating a woman to death.
Yep, and they savagely. Oh, and raping her too.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't know if it was consensual beforehand or not, but he definitely had sex with her and beat her to death in the same fucking night. Which usually they're going to say, all one act. Fuck you. You're going away. That's an aggravator too.
Murder you. And
you beat her to death. Right. At that point, I don't really care.
Right.
Give you extra aggravators.
They'll murder you for that.
You beat a woman to death. You deserve it. Whatever you get, fuck you. So anyway, it's fucking interesting. So 15 years. Now, there's an article saying, this is from Quebec, quote, Demers' sentence provides lesson.
What does the fuck could the lesson be?
Let's find out. A court of King's Bench jury at Sherbrooke recommended clemency for Tony Demers, hockey player, who they had just found guilty of manslaughter in connection with the death of a young Eastern Townships woman. The victim had been infatuated with the athlete, who brutally beat her to death in a drunken rage. Demers was lucky. The recommendation for clemency by the same jury who had declined to try him on a charge of murder in favor of the lesser charge of manslaughter was heeded by the Justice Gervais, and he was sentenced to 15 years in the penitentiary instead of the 25-year sentence the justice said he had in mind. So he was going to give him 25, but the jury made him give him.
Yeah.
Yep. The interest of society has been well served in that Demers' prominence as an athlete did not operate to save him from the punishment he merited. His serving of this sentence will not restore the life he snuffed out, but it serves as a sharp reminder to those who drink when they know they cannot control themselves when they do.
Unbelievable.
That's not the lessons I don't think that you're taking from this at all. That
is such a cop-out. It's such a scapegoat. That's disgusting.
And it is light.
Yeah.
I thought, too. It's kind of a light sentence and everything. So they're going to appeal, they said. This is ridiculous. Yeah. We're not doing that. They announced the next day there's going to be an appeal, going on, and it's going to be hardcore. They're going to go after it and, from every angle. They said the verdict with all this will be appealed on several points of law, and he expected that it will be taken care of pretty quickly. And it is. The appeal does go through, and they say, no, I don't think so. Affirmed. Get the fuck back in jail, asshole. Appealing it. So
balls. The
sack on this guy.
Wow.
No, you
Forget
got lucky.
His cock. The Canadian press missed the part that they should have been writing about. The absolute balls on this guy.
It's the balls, not the cock.
Oh.
And even on this, they couldn't be like, I don't know, man. The whole thing is I wish they could have appealed and then been like, yes, we found you guilty of murder now, stupid.
We found you guiltier.
Guiltier, yeah. We decided that other jury was not the brightest fucking bulbs in the bunch here, so we went with somebody else. So it is denied. So he goes in, essentially, he's arrested in September of 49, and he sits in jail that whole time. He is out of prison in early 1957, so he does about 7 years and change. Brutally with his hands, Jimmy.
Canada,
with his hands.
You are far too sweet to people.
With his hands, Jimmy.
Bare hands.
He plays in a Canadians reunion game.
Oh, my.
A Montreal Canadian. They're like, come on, woman murderer. Come on, get on the line.
The Buffalo
Canadians
Bills
jersey and everything.
Playing a throwback game? Hiring up
Come on, OJ, slap that 32 on your back and let's see you run for 2,000 yards again, Juice. Let's see if you got any juice left in those legs, big guy.
Holy fuck.
He took, this isn't even like a one-off. It's with like popular former teammates. The forward trio of these people, it was Demers. They said it was Demers whom the crowd showered with applause by the 3,000 fans that evening. Quote, by far the longest and loudest ovation was given to Demers, who was cheered for a full 2 minutes as he was introduced.
2 minutes.
Like he personally went to Germany, cut Hitler's throat, fucking held his head aloft, put it on a pike in the middle of fucking Nuremberg and came home. That's what they acted like. 2 minute applause. What gets you a 2 minute fucking applause?
How do you applaud for 2 minutes? 2 minutes is a long time.
It's so, everyone, listeners, when we go back on the road, because it's been we expect full 2 minute applauses when we come on stage. Imagine how uncomfortable that would be. For 2 minutes, you'd be like, okay,
it's fine. That's enough.
Thank you. Okay,
James, that was 11 seconds so far.
Jimmy, it's still happening. They're still applauding. Why are they doing this? I don't know. I don't know what to do. Thank you.
I could drink a beer in that whole time.
Seconds?
2 minutes. By the time I finish my beer, you guys can stop. That's it.
I can smoke half a joint in 2 minutes. Like we could have a lot get done in 2 minutes. Like 2 whole minutes is obscene.
2 minutes of applause.
That's why I'm trying to think of like Lindbergh when he landed. Maybe got 2 minutes of applause for fucking flying across the Atlantic and changing
Palms
the
would
world.
Be bruised by then. That's so long.
I don't even know what I'm trying to think. Think, everyone, find another instance where someone got a 2-minute applause break. I'm sure it's happened, but wow, I've never heard of it. That is wild. It's about 2 minutes now, by the way, from the time I said we came out on stage and they started applauding. Imagine if you were still applauding.
We're not there yet.
Holy shit. We would have just started the show. So fuck it there. I don't know. There's something wrong with these people. I'm going to start doing slides. I don't know what's happening here. So
that's incredible.
They said Demers would also take part in various other Canadians old-timers games, along with next to Rocket Richard and everybody, all the legends. Everybody took him as he coached various minor league hockey teams and did all sorts of stuff. No one ever mentioned anything about he murdered a girl.
Canadians
Never
have
happened.
The memory of a goldfish. That is incredible.
Man served his time. That's paid his debt to society. Leave him alone, and they fucking left him alone. Wow. No one ever mentioned it again. The only next time it was mentioned was probably in his obituary on September 3rd, 1997.
God, he lived so
dead.
long.
80. This fucking alky lunatic lived till 80.
Holy shit.
That is fucking wild. At the age of 80, when he dies, the Cody Cook Historical Society, which is the town in between where he killed the woman, they had this to say about him. Let's do this. Quote, he not only paid his debt to society, but he set an example of himself during his rehabilitation by becoming a model prisoner. All the people that knew him thought he had really made an effort to redeem himself since his terrible business years earlier. Terrible business, they call it. About murdering a woman and fucking dragging her naked, unconscious body to the hospital and leaving her there.
Murdering a naked woman whom he had sex with his bare hands.
And cock. I assume he had sex with her with his bare cock and then killed her with his bare hands. Terrible business, they call that.
Terrible business.
He could have had a more storied career with the Canadians if he had only been more serious, and above all, if he had known his own physical strength. That's what they said, Jimmy.
He didn't know his own strength could pummel a woman to death?
That's all. So that's all. Just little mistake. It was terrible business. That little mistake he made. That is fucking wild. And he wouldn't have had a more storied career because he was well done with the NHL by then. He hadn't played in the NHL in 6 years, 5 years since the last team cut him for not showing up anymore. Wow. So he was fucking done. He is buried, in case you want to go see him, he's buried in the Saint Antoine Cemetery in Lavaltrie, Lanauderie region in Quebec. I don't fucking know. Look up Find a Grave Tony Demers if you want to see him. You'll find it. The woman who wrote, there's a woman who wrote a bunch of of his account of it and stuff like that, and put a bunch of stuff together that I used a couple of lines from it, and I just wanted to give her credit. It was Svetlana Boym, Boym. They have this blog of this and a couple other things, so just want to give credit there. Sure. Always got to give credit where credit's due. If I can only find some one place. So can't get enough of Tony Demers. There are actual cards available from back then that they have. O-Pee-Chee made them, which if you know anything about cards, Topps had O-Pee-Chee later on. They made in the 80s, they made the cool O-Pee-Chee sets that were in the off. Yeah. They were really cool. They had the weird brightly colored backs. Remember the 85s or 6s had those bright fucking pink backs on them that looked like the gum. Yep. They were cool looking. They had those. Those are really expensive, like hockey cards from 1940, obviously.
How much are they?
And I don't even know. They're not even available on eBay right now, but I know that they're out there for a pretty pricey amount. And they have pictures of him, too, that are like $5 on eBay, but you could fucking find pictures of him online and print them out if you wanted it that bad. They're not autographed. Right. So who cares? Yeah. That, everybody, is Tony Demers.
Wow.
And, people have been asking for hockey episodes lately. It's pretty funny because 4 days ago, people were like, you ever do any hockey episodes? And it was this whole strain. I didn't want to say wait till this week, fucker. But I was asking for ideas. And the problem with hockey episodes is there's not a lot of them that aren't just a DUI. Right. even if it's a manslaughter, it's a DUI. They lead a fine life. They have one DUI, kill somebody, and then lead a fine life. Right. Like there's no, it's where's the thing in that. So I asked people for different ones, and one of the ones they gave me was Tony Demers, but he's been on the list for 5 years already. I've had him on there, just waiting to do him. But every other one they gave me was exactly like that. It was, and no offense, if you have them, I'd love to have them, but they were like either that or like this guy's rumored to have been like friends with the Russian mob. Like that's not a crime in sport. How am I supposed to do 2.5 hours on? There was a rumor that he knew a guy who once did this. Like I get that those are interesting stories, but I don't know how we need somebody that has multiple arrests.
There's got to be a conviction, right?
You find me multiple arrests and convictions and send me these hockey players, I will fucking research the balls off them and do the episodes. We're happy to do not avoiding hockey episodes because they're always fun. So anyway,
what
that said,
monster.
He's an asshole. He's a real asshole.
Absolute monster.
Alcoholic maniac is
weak
what it
legs,
is. He's got weak leg. At least one of them is super weak. So that said, if you like that, review us somewhere. Wherever you listen, give us 5 stars. It helps a lot. It helps drive us up. Whatever charts we are on that day, I don't fucking know. Do that. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now for everything. All of your T-shirts and your mugs and your backpacks and your floor mats and everything you could ask for that is merch of the show. We have it there. Crime and Sports and Small Town Murder. All our stuff is up. Check it out there. And also tickets to shit and shows and live shows and information, whatever you could possibly want. Also, Patreon you're going to want to do.
Yeah.
Especially this week because the episodes we put up are pretty goddamn awesome.
They're terrific.
They're amazing. $5 you get 2 episodes every other week, and which is not a bad value. They're very fun. Pretty good deal. Lots of fun. And you get the whole back catalog, both episodes, Patreon. Anything we put out, you're going to get it. And this week for Crime and Sports, we have Barry Bremen. You're going to go, who the hell is Barry Bremen? You're going to love Barry Bremen when we're done with
wish you hung out with Barry Bremen.
Oh, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
He was a master imposter, but he did it for fun. He would sneak on to like athletic fields in uniforms. Right. So much so that he's so likable that players started helping him do it. Right. It wasn't like now where they'd help him, get him shot. Yeah. They were helping him do it. George Brett hid him in a sauna from the Secret Service so they wouldn't discover him, so they could get him out on the field. He dressed up like an umpire and stood out for the national anthem on the line with all the other umpires at the World Series. He collected the Emmy Award for Best Supporting Actress when he did not know this woman at all. No. Put it that way. He is the master imposter.
At the Emmys.
I'll give it away. He was a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. Yeah. He posed as. Find out how he did that. It's fucking amazing. Barry Bremen, master imposter. Then for Small Town Murders episode, which you of course have access to, we're doing kind of every once in a while origin stories of serial killers and terrible killers and shit. And we're doing the Iceman, Richard Kuklinski. We talked about his childhood, and oh boy, harrowing is the only way I can put it. That was...
Did he cometh.
Wow. I mean, that's... Compared to Richard Ramirez had an easy childhood next to this guy. At least Richard Ramirez's father didn't do, well, we won't say, we won't give it away, but it was terrible. Check all of that out. Patreon.com/crime and sports. Like we said, anybody above the $5 level gets that.
Yep.
And they're going to get a shout out as well, which we're going to do in a second here because, God damn it, we're appreciative of everything you do for us. We love you. But the other way you can get a shout out is on PayPal and donating anything you want and using our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com to do that. That said, I don't know about you, Jimmy, but God damn it, I need to hear the names of, our favorite, our wonderful, the lifeblood of these goddamn shows. Jimmy, hit me with the names of these wonderful people right now.
This week's executive producers are Kristen Sweet, Nancy Weaver, John Checkley, and Jordan Bennett. You guys are tremendous, and you always come through.
Thank you so much.
It's really the larger donations are there. You don't have to do it, and you do it, and
they're incredibly generous.
And it really,
thank you.
It makes my life. I honestly cry every week writing this shit.
It's pretty.
It's touching, man. It really is touching.
No. Thank you.
Other producers this week are Andy Stratz. He's awaiting a new liver, James. Isn't that fucking insane?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Somebody give him a liver. Somebody.
He's on the list. I understand he's getting one shortly. I don't know. But
good.
Hang in there, Andy. You're going to get better. Allison Riegel got an interview for the number one job she wants, I guess. So
hey, look at you.
She got the interview. That's not the job
Get
yet.
that job, Allison, right?
Fingers crossed, Allison. You're going to
get that job, Allison. You got that.
Other producers also Nicole Anna Clarico. I'm never going to get shit like that. I'm sorry. Jess Finch, Pixie De Leon, Liz Vasquez, Michelle Euler, Thomas Smith, Nick Ruggiero, Rabbi Shmulevich is anal fisher free, James. James Martyr, Centano Kennels.com. They're in Canada. CENTENO Kennels.com. Samantha Hoare Quigley dances with vapes from Love After Lockup.
God, that guy sucks.
Very good. Kimmy and Jimmy Bray, thank you very much, both of you. Jennifer Ward, Susanna Platt, Atessa Shakar, Grace Juntanen, Bio Report Extraordinaire. Thomas Brace, he's on the USS Carl Vinson, Vinson. I had a friend that was on that ship. Thank you, Thomas, for what you did. Natasha Palmer can't wait to not marry her favorite grown-up. I don't know what that means, but happy anniversary.
Great.
She didn't even say who they are, so
happy.
Could be anybody. Wiener Mulder, Ashley Long, Jennifer Visconti, Heather McCarthy, Allison Davis, and Stuart Lubinsky. Topher Dizzle over on Discord. I got to get on that Discord from time to time more often. Kyle Wise, Carl Kirshner, Tiara Nestor.
Carl.
What is it?
Corporal Carl.
It still does the umlaut. I don't know how to not do it. Tiara Nestel, happy birthday, Jordan Hoare Beach. Freddie got fingled. James, he got fingled.
Hey, thank you. Fingling is a thing, by the way.
Wiener, and also another person named Wiener, because somebody told people to donate in the name of Wiener, evidently, and it's working. Tiffany Gonzalez, happy birthday, Tiffany. Frank, the South African bird washer. Janice Hill, Carly Plines, Caitlin Decor, I think, Maria Rasper, Jean Leon Magnato, Brian Close, Mary Elizabeth Shalafo, Julie Bergacaker. Nope, that's not right. Happy birthday, though, Julie.
Good try.
I did my best.
Happy birthday. We're sorry
Alex
about that.
Hopper, Dalton Thurman, Joey Hoare, Sarah Zambor, Andrew Angel, Nick Meyer, Wyatt Hoare, Aiden Hoare, Joshua Wilburn, Jalen Hoare, Lori Wilson, Scarlett Horbeast, Ryan Kaufman, Allison Davis, Ann Reiger, Adrian Eddy, Lori Bartlett, Karen McGowan, Jeremy Thornton, Tess T. Coles. Oh, got you. Well done. You beat me. Congratulations. Mackenzie.
It took him a second. I looked at you like, really?
Mackenzie Silva, Elijah's mom, Brandy Hoare, Decky McGinnis, Roy Petty, Jared Ingleworth, Illingworth, Brian Corris, Patrick Muzz, Matt Ruppel, Jason and Adrian, Heather Nash, Ava Heath, Alex Bowl, Jordan Doolittle, what is this, Chloe Finley? It's Chloe, right? It can't be Chloe. Christy Hayes, Jonathan Hoare, Samantha Hoare, Serial, James Serial Hoare, Kathy Schuler, Caleb M. Hoare, Diana G., Joe Borges, I think it's Joe. How? Logan Melville, Bonnie Campbell, Tyler Hoare, Sherry London, Melanie Swanson, Joey Jenkins, Dan Chapman, Carrie Harmon, Gabe Torres, Hunter Morris, Jason Attic, A.C. Hoare, The Dude, Amanda Gendracci, Jeremiah Johnson, PBOS34, Heather Vogel, Justin Hardwick, J.A. Wallace, Alex C., Ambro Cornut, Katie Jeffs, Kat Hoare, Frank DGAF. I think that's Don't Give a Fuck, James.
Don't give a fuck.
Brooding Reaper, Kayla Imsand, R.J. Herzl, Jen Brittle, Ginger Fraunfelter, Jesus, Rachel Seeger, Joe Hoare, right. Andre Michelin, Alish Henchion, Whitney Rochalt, Casey Hoare, Alexander Patterson, Ty Adkins, Shannon Fries, Kip Stossmeister, Rachel Hoare, Melanie Hoare, Don Matthews, Danielle Hoare, Jacqueline Huff.
Never gets old.
ever. Laura Clevenger, Tanya Zamudio, Wendy Brown, Justin Jackson, Ashley Ramos, Carrie Whitcomb, Adam Yunson, Amy Botany, Konstantinos Papas. That's as fucking Greek as it gets, right?
Fuck.
Isabella Zavala, Aaron
Uzo
Johnston
in his hand.
Caden Porter Foy, Jennifer Jones, Christina Williams, Jeffrey Sweet, Shauna Bonham, Mike Perry, Vernon Rice II, Melissa Bearden, Dick Riley Hurts. Gotcha. It really hurts, James. It really does.
Hurts.
Are you proud of yourself, Dick? Rachel Hickok, Lolo Fo Show, Layla Knight, Starving Aardvarks. That's a good band name. Gina Falkenstrom, Mark Goldfine, Kyle Cleary, Laura Murphy, Elizabeth Murphy, Jake Q. Parker, Kevin Casey, Kala Urich, Jesus, Ellie Hanna, Phil Carroll, Kenneth Dustin, yeah, that's a middle name. Stephen Smith, Nikki Matlock, Seal Wallen, Tim Payne, Kyle Wilcox, Xanda Stein, Berga, Joe Christopher, Super Sharpie 64, Tiffany Meldal Johnson, Millie the Brown Bystander Clan, James, not Clown. Shauna Tulos, Shauna Tulos, Nicole Swain, Jay Whore, Jay the J Whore, Rhonda Fiandaka, Jesus, Justin Swan, Caroline Nella Adams, Chris Sidey, Amy Daniels Salinas, Monica Emerson, Marcia Newens, Linda Bright, KDHD. Oh, boy. Adam Ellerman.
You're doing great.
Matthew Story, Ashley Hoare, Connor Sandifer, Hannah Atterbury, Joseph Nelson, John Thurmond, Laura Zimmer Hansel, Angelina Hall, Ryoma, and Aluda Fothoffer. What the fuck? Elizabeth Schnitzer, Amber Hoare, Carrie Keener, I did it slow, Josh Wonders,
yeah, that's good.
I'm sure he does, Rita Welch, Brock Obama, heard me, Crystal Diamato, John Magnus Robertson, Katie Galloway, Johnson, Jeremy Weathers, MK, probably Ultra, Nicole Morales,
sure.
Spencer Hutchinson, Kate Hoare, Diana Hoare, Taylor Hunn, Tamara Stewart, Colton Giltner, Jesus, Mathis, Kroll, Nikki Tropido, Taylor Bunker, Jess Osborne, Paul Bestow, Oliver Hoare, Matthew Jacobson, Lisa Miller, Ian Hoare, Kelsey Graves, Maddie Mae Larson, A.K. Hoare, Matt Bogart, Danny Casillas, Rebecca Monzon, that's just Ben Grundy, Scott Caruso, Sean Silverman, and Kieran the Whore. You guys, we can't thank you enough. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. God damn it. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you. Every damn dime that you guys give us, every dime that anybody gives us, we are so thankful for, and we're always surprised and shocked.
Overwhelmed. It really is.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you do for us, and we just hope that what we do makes you think that shit, I'm happy to do that because I'm getting good stuff. We just hope that. If you don't think that it's good, then
worth
don't.
It. Jesus, I can't.
If you can, don't give money if you can't afford it and all that shit. Obviously, take care of yourself. But if you want to throw us a couple bucks and be whatever, you could do that too. So thank you for thinking of us. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. So much. What if someone was thinking of you, Jimmy? How could they find you?
You can think of me on the internet at Wisman Sucks. Where can they think of you?
I am at Jimmy P is funny, or you can just Google search crime and sports and small town murder, and you can find we're the hosts and where to find us and how to get a hold of us and do all that shit.
Yeah.
It's all out there. That said, it's been a fun week and a crazy week, and like we said, next week though, Mike Tyson Part 1, which will be a trip, obviously, because good God, is that going to be a fucking party?
Hell yeah.
Crazy stuff. Thank you so much for joining us for another old-timey black and white edition. We love it so much. And live from the Crime and Sports Studios, we will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from Law and Crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus